When the dragon hits the track, the race becomes a battlefield.
Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei got teleported to Hot Wheels Battle Force 5 movie. Before we start, please go support Josu Sickle 5 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken characters' gender, but of course Issei is a male. Before dying, Trihexa killed all the supernatural beings. Among them were the Gremory clan, Rias, Asia, Irina, Kaneko, Kuroka, and Ravel. In a final act, they saved their beloved Chestnut, as well as saving Rossweisse, Xenovia, and Serafel, thus seeing how the girls had sacrificed themselves for them. But our protagonists are not dead yet, as now they will have to live a new adventure at maximum speed and with new friends. Prologue chapter. A new adventure. And new friends. We are located in the supernatural world where everyone had managed to stop the Trihexa, but before dying, with the help of Rizivum, they had played their last card, so the planet would begin to destroy itself little by little. Several people were dying, even supernatural beings, and among them were the Gremory and Citri clans, who were slowly dying. Issei worried. There has to be a way to escape. At that point the explosion was about to reach Issei and three of his partners, which were Xenovia, Serafel, and Rossweisse, so the rest of Issei's harem would quickly send them flying away to try to give them time to escape. Gremory girls. We love you so much, Ice-kun. Sona. Goodbye sister, live happily with Issei. Thus the girls being disintegrated by the explosion. Issei crying. Girls new. Xenovia Rossweisse. Amigas new. Seraph weeping. Sutan new. But then the four of them would fall to the ground, becoming unconscious. Greg. Mate, wake up quick-eye before you die, wake up quick-eye. But then a strange vortex would swallow the four of them, and the vortex would close. Spider Multiverse Battle Zone and Hot Wheels Battle Force 5 world. Greg would see that they had fallen into a strange place. Greg. And now what is this place? I can't detect the presence of any supernatural being. But in that the bodies of Issei and Xenovia and Serafel and Rossweisse would be grabbed by some cobwebs. Dragon. Ooh no. So seeing a super giant spider. And so begins this story of Issei and Hot Wheels Battle Force 5. Click on the intro of this story. Opening of this story. Mikakunin Hikaus in the opening of Digimon 2020 Latin Spanish cover. Singer. David Delgado lateral square. The giant spider was entangling the bodies of Issei and Xenovia and Serafel and Rossweisse in cobwebs, while Drake could not do anything, because only Issei could use his power, but Drake could not do it of his own free will. Drake's thoughts. Drake. Come on, mate, wake up. Damn, before you could wake up if someone told you something perverted or something like that, but since you changed, that doesn't work to wake you up anymore, and now? Who can defend us? Out of your thoughts. But Drake would hear the sound of cars approaching quickly, and from the boosted gear, he would be able to see a group of 5 cars that were escaping from a pack of small spiders. That's right, these were none other than Battle Force 5. As in the original story, the team had a hard time communicating because the communicators didn't work, and neither did the radars. Until Vert had found the place where the portal to Earth was. But before Agura entered the portal, some Sark cars would fall in addition to the bodies of Issei and Xenovia and Serafel and Rossweisse, pleasantly surprising Agura. Agura. I didn't expect there to be people in this battle zone, but it's best to get them out of here before they become spider food. So Agura would put the bodies of Issei and Xenovia and Serafel and Rossweisse in the Tangler to then manage to cross the portal, so Vert would close the portal, taking the battle key. Vert. That was close. Zoom. What the heck happened over there? Sherman. It defines where our systems were failing. Spinner. It's true, it's like going blind. Agura. By the way, guys, before leaving the battle zone, I met them. Thus Agura would take out the bodies of Issei and Xenovia and Serafel and Rossweisse, surprising everyone. Stanford. Are they dead? Agura. They still don't have a pulse, so we have to take them to the base, so Sage can check them out because they seem to be injured. Vert. Okay, Battle Force 5, let's get back to base quickly. Minutes later. Sage was checking the bodies of Issei and Xenovia and Serafel and Rossweisse, seeing all the wounds they had, and healing each one's wounds. Vert. And how are you, Sage? Sage. I was able to heal their wounds, although I'm surprised they're still alive since they had serious injuries. Zoom. Will they improve? Sage. Yes they will, but. Spinner. But what? Sage. When I analyzed the 3 of them and their wounds, I noticed something strange about them. I felt as if they were not normal humans. Sherman. You mean they could be a new species in the multiverse? Sage. It could be, although it worries me that the energy they possess is negative but ultimately positive. I don't know, it's very confusing. Then, like in the original story, the team would have to take Sage to a battle zone so she could be upgraded so the vehicles and all systems would return to normal. Upon reaching the battle zone, the spinner would activate the Mobi's camouflage and begin downloading the update. While Ligura and Zoom and Stanford would go to look for the battle key. But like in the original story, Spinner accelerating the download would cause Zemric and his Sarks to discover them coming towards them. While with the boys they could not grab the battle key because the chopper's propellers were failing and Zoom could not fly, but the boys would leave to retain the Sarks. But they didn't notice that where the battle key was there was something else and there were two girls and one of them was waking up and this was none other than Kaneko Taoju. Kaneko. Ouch ouch that hurt but how am I alive? And that the other girl was none other than Arena Shidu. Author's note. I clarify that in this story Arena belongs to the Gremory clan and is a demon, but she can use her white light rings and some dark light ones, and she also has her Excalibur sword, end of note. Arena. Shit, sorry if I said that, but that really hurt a lot. Kaneko. Arena right. You're alive. Arena is surprised. It's a joke. So both would hug each other tightly. Arena. But how are we alive? As far as I remember, we died to save Ice-kun, Xenovia, Serafel, and Rossweisse. Kaneko. I have no idea, but the good thing is that we are alive and… But then they both heard the sound of explosions and then both noticed that in the middle of them, there was a strange key. Kaneko confused. What is that? Arena, confused. Well, it looks like it's a key, but the strange thing is that I feel a strange energy in it. Kaneko. This is confusing, but just in case, let's grab the key. So both would grab the key and surprisingly nothing happened to them, but then the dome they were in would fall, so Zug seeing that they had the key, would simply grab it, but with Kaneko and Arena included. Kaneko. Damn machine releases the key. Arena. Whatever this key is, I don't think you're using it with good intentions. But Zug would accelerate, thus taking the battle key with Kaneko and Arena together. Meanwhile on the Mobi. As in the original story, when trying to search for the charge mode, the Mobi would begin to change battle zones. Therefore, Issei and Xenovia and Serafel and Rossweisse would wake up. Issei. What the hell is going on? Xenovia. And how is it that we are alive? Rossweisse. Never mind that, well yes. So the girls would hug their brown-haired boy tightly. Issei. Haha calm down girls. Greg. Dude, you and the girls might be surprised, but first figure out what's going on. Issei. As always, I do everything myself. So Issei would leave the Mobi's room and reach the back. Issei. Very well I don't know how the hell to open this thing. But then Vert would arrive seeing Issei. Vert. Looks like you finally woke up. Issei. Who are you? Vert. My name is Vert, nice to meet you, but I don't have time to introduce myself, I have to get rid of some pesky Sarks. Issei. What kind of thing? Thus Vert would climb into his vehicle, Knowledge, and then exit the Mobi, destroying the Sarks that had climbed onto the front of the Mobi. Back in the battle zone. Zug would be carrying the battle key. But Kaneko and Arena were trying to release the battle key. Arena. With a demon, release the damn key. Kaneko. Also, why would a machine like you want a key? Zug. Zug end with subspecies. So Zug would activate the drill on his vehicle, starting it to spin at maximum speed, making Kaneko and Arena a little dizzy. Zoom. Hey, is it my imagination or are two girls trying to take the battle key from Zug? Stanford. No, you're not dreaming, literally, that's true. Agura. We have to try to help them. But Zug, seeing that the girls would not release the battle key, would throw it, thus opening a portal to the dimension of the planet Sark, thus causing Kaneko and Arena to fall there, while Zug would close the portal, leaving the boys in the battle zone. Zoom. Demons escaped. Stanford. Now what do we do? Agura. For now, we have to protect our portal until the Mobi returns. Meanwhile. On the planet Sark. The Mobi had arrived and Zemric had the battle key. But he would be beaten by none other than Issei. Issei. You're not that tough, are you, dumb machine? Angry Zemric. Damn organic, who do you think you are to hit the great Zemric? Issei. Well, only an organic like you said. Zemric. Zug finish off this organic. Zug. As a Zemirian lord. But Zug would crash into a wall because Kaneko had hit him and she looked upset. Kaneko. That's because of what happened before, you damn junk. Arena. Well done Kaneko, that's how it's done. Issei had been surprised to see Kaneko and Arena alive as well as the girls. So they would quickly give each other a tender hug. Kaneko happy. Issei senpai, I'm glad you're alive. Arena. We thought we'd never see you again. Issei. Well, here I am, alive and kicking. But in that moment, Sherman and Spinner had managed to activate the charge mode, knocking down Zemric so the key would fall to the ground. At that Issei would grab the battle key. Issei. Hey, Vert, right. Vert. That's right. Issei. My name is Issei Hyodo, and I believe this belongs to you. So Issei would give the battle key to Vert. Vert. You go up and those girls owe us an explanation. Issei. Okay. Later. The Sage update was already finished. Issei. Very well, we will kindly tell you everything about us but on one condition. Xenovia Rasuius. Explain to us what the hell is going on. Kaneko Arena. That was literally totally crazy. Serafel. So we ask you to please explain to us what happened there. So before the boys introduced themselves as well as Issei and his partners and then began to tell of all the adventures they have lived until the battle against the Trihexa where everyone and including the world died. Sage. So that dragon wiped out all life in your world, even supernatural life. Sad Issei. That's right, and the worst thing is that I lost my best friends and my other partners, which makes me feel powerless. Vert. Calm down, we all feel that way. Sage. But now that you've told us about your life, it's my turn to tell you everything that happens here. So Sage would tell them about his race, also about how he recruited Battle Force 5 and the battles they have had so far against the Vandals and the Sarks. Issei. Well, it seems you need help, so since you helped us it's our turn to help you. Xenovia. You can count on my support. Vesuvius Arafel. And with our support too. Kaneko Arena. And our support too. Sage. Well then Issei Hyodo, Xenovia Quarta, Serafel Citri Leviathan, Rasuius, Kaneko Tauju and Arena Shidu, I declare them honorary members of Battle Force 5. Issei. If that's a new adventure, here we go. Everyone. See. And so the Mobi would continue on its way to the base. A new adventure has just begun for Issei and his partners, but what awaits them when they fight against the Vandals and the Sarks? What happens next? Find out in the next chapter. Chapter 2. The Axis of Evil. Previously, our protagonists had arrived in a new world. At first, they had to watch their own lives and see what was happening in that world. But now, Issei, along with his partners Xenovia and Serafel, Rasuius, and Kaneko and Arena, have joined Battle Force 5 to help them in their battle against the Vandals and the Sarks. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the intro. Kalis had grabbed the battle key, but Vert would take it from him. Vert. I'll take the Kalis key. Issei. You go eat dirt. Thus angering Kalis. But when I throw a spear it would be destroyed by a zoom kick. Zoom. Shot down. Issei. Buena Isa zoom. So the boys entering through the portal. And as in the original story, the Vandals and the Sarks would form an alliance to obtain all the battle keys. On Earth. The boys were heading into a new whirlwind. Agura. Sage could be on the Mobi forever, we have to do something. Vert. We must continue with the mission to take the battle key and seal the area. Issei. Good plan. Xenovia. It'll be a piece of cake. So everyone entering the portal would see that they had arrived at a battle zone, but it was a power plant. Issei. Wow, it's a gigantic power plant. Serafel. It's as if the energy of the whirlwinds comes from here. Sherman. You're correct, it seems that this is the power source for the whirlwinds. Vert. Make sure those rays don't reach you. Vesuvius. Yes, why else would we be as fat as chips? Agura. It won't be easy to fight the Sarks. So everyone would see the Sarks approaching, but also the Vandals. Issei. Hey, is it my imagination or did the Vandals and the Sarks join forces? Xenovia. It's not your imagination, Icecon literally joined forces. Issei. Then it will be twice as fun. So Issei would take out the sword Ascalon ready to fight. Issei. Let's go for the battle key. But then a Sark would grab the key and everyone would try to grab it, but it was impossible. Zemric. Sark execute the final step. So one of the Sarks would get out of control. Zoom. That out of control Sark is going to. Issei. Estrella Ire. Trans. Cubrance. So everyone would be covered from the explosion until after the explosion, everyone would see that the Vandals and the Sarks were no longer there. Serafel. Sihan Ido. Agura. I think they chose the wrong place for their last move. Spinner. So it's over. Vert. Don't celebrate as soon as you register the area. Issei. I don't feel the presence of the Vandals or the Sarks. Sherman. My radar doesn't detect anything. Stanford. And my eco map is free of villains. Then, as in the original story, the Cortez brothers would build a super battery to carry enough energy to recharge Sage. But like in the original story, the Sarks would start attacking our heroes. Issei. But how? We were supposed to no longer feel their presence. Greg. Maybe they faked their death. But then the Vandals would appear. Zemric. Kalis, estás abandonando tu puesto. Kalis. Actually, I'm abandoning your plan. Agura. Orders. Vert. Zemric still has the battle key, so let's get it back. But Kalis would steal the battle key in addition to beating up our heroes. Kalis. Vandals al portal terrorister. Zemric. The treacherous beast. So everyone started to follow the Vandals and the Sarks, but they wouldn't arrive in time because the portal had been closed. Issei. Demons escaped. Vesuvius. And they left us trapped. Zoom. How will we return to Earth? Vert. We need a whirlwind portal and we need it right away. So everyone would see the super battery. Sherman. A whirlwind portal immediately. Issei. Can you make us a whirlwind portal? Spinner. Do you really underestimate my little brother's intelligence? Issei. Don't go too far. Just like in the original story, when creating the whirlwind portal, the super battery would be charged. So everyone would cross the portal and then split up while the brothers went to the base and the others would go to the town. But then they would arrive at the base seeing that the Vandals and the Sarks were inside the base. So everyone started to face the Vandals and the Sarks until, as in the original story, when all the battle keys were combined, a new portal would be created. Issei. What the hell is going on? Sage. The keys combined and created a new portal it could lead anywhere. Kaneko. And what do we do? Arena. For now, let's hold on tight. Thus, little by little, the Vandals and the Sarks would be absorbed by the portal. Kalis. I'm the only one left. But he would be pulled by Zemric's whip. Vert. Not quite, I think it's time for you to go with your friends. Issei. Goodbye Kalis. But Sage would be hit by debris. Xenovia Seraphle. Nuo. Kalis. If victory is not mine, it will not be yours either, subspecies. So Kalis would take Sage. Vert. I'll go after her who comes with me. Issei. I'm going with you, old man. Vert. We'll see them on the other side. Issei. There you go. So the two would jump into the portal. Xenovia Seraphle. Here we go. Vesuvius Kaneko Arena. Cannonball. So the girls threw themselves into the portal, followed by the rest of the team. So everyone is already inside the vortex. Vert. Does anyone know the location of Sage? Spinner. Does anyone know the bottom of this vortex? Issei. I think that's a long way off. But Sage had run out of energy so everyone was trying to grab Sage's cube, but it was impossible until Kalis grabbed it. Kalis. I've got Sage. Vandals regroup. Thus the three sides falling in different places. Issei. Ouch ouch, that hurt. Xenovia. Looks like we lost Sage. Spinner. Woo, what kind of battle zone is this? Sherman. It's not a battle zone, big brother, judging by that red planet, I'd say we're in the world of the blue sentients. And indeed our protagonists had arrived on the planet of the blue sentients. Vesuvius. So this is where Sage comes from. Seraphle. Apparently so, but what does the red planet of beach mean? Kaneko. It's simple, we are on the planet of the blue sentients, so that red planet must be the planet of the red sentients. Arena. Wow, just wow. Xenovia. What a good deduction, Kaneko. Issei. And where the hell will we find the Vandals? Vert. Stanford, I need an eco map. Stanford. An immediate eco map. So with the reverb throwing out sound waves. Issei. Hey Dreg, do you know what those symbols mean? Dreg. No, mate. Sherman. It's ancient sentient, all I can see is that we are in Module 5, their main city, until it fell to the Vandals. Issei. Yuvio. Zoom. I hate what they did to this world, I want to make them pay now. Vert. And you're going to zoom in, but first we have to rescue Sage. Issei. Como Vile Comapa Stanford. Stanford. Kalis and Zemric landed in different places and I already have their coordinates. Vert. Load the coordinates of the Vandals, we have to go for Sage. Issei. Let's give him equipment. So Battle Force 5 would get into their vehicles while Issei and the girls followed them flying. How in the original story the kids ran into a date so they would all be outside the Vandals' den. Vert. That cockroach will never be able to open the Sage bucket. Sherman. No, but his clumsy beauty could damage it almost beyond repair. Issei. Ambushing stupid people isn't a good idea, to say the least. Xenovia. Their security systems, despite being primitive, are good, so they could discover us in a jiffy. Arena. Hey. Seraphle. We would have to think of a good plan, but which one? Kaneko. Okay. Vesuvius. Maybe we could use a distraction. Arena. Hey. Issei. Sounds like a good idea, but who would be the distraction? Arena. Kaneko. Retire. Everyone scared. What? Arena. We have company. So everyone would see that they were the Sarks. Just like in the original story, everyone would form an alliance to recover Sage and take her to the Cortex so she could return home until, after facing the Vandals, Sage had returned. Sage. My memory is restored, neuroprocessors at 100%. But then a strong red glow would cover the place and a giant red silhouette would appear above. Issei. Listen, what's going on? Xenovia. That definitely doesn't look good at all. So everyone would observe a crimson red being and it was no one more and no less than Zemric Sirio. Critus. Vert, confused. Critus. Issei. And who is he? Sage. My twin brother. Spinner. No, they are exactly the same. And that Critus would control two heads of some Sarks. Critus. How does it feel, Zemric? Having your troops against you. Zemric would try to attack Critus, but it wouldn't work. While the boys would stay to help Zemric, the Cortez brothers, along with Irina and Kaneko, would help Sage create a battle key. So everyone would launch an attack, but Critus was stronger. Vesuvius. You won't get away with it. Thus Vesuvius would create several magic circles and start shooting, but Critus would hardly dodge the shots until he managed to knock Vesuvius unconscious. Seraphil. Damn son of a bitch. So Seraphil would throw a beam of ice freezing Critus, but he would break free leaving Seraphil unconscious as well. Xenovia. Unhappy. So Xenovia started to clash swords with Critus, but he was faster and managed to hurt Xenovia. Critus. It seems you're not as strong as I thought. But Xenovia would be saved by Issei who was carrying Vesuvius and Seraphil. Issei. Everyone go to the tunnel, Critus is too strong for us. Stanford. You think so? What made you see that? But for the boys to escape, Issei and Vert would stay to train Critus. Xenovia. Be careful, Ice Kun. So Xenovia would kiss Issei on the lips and he would reciprocate. Issei. I'll be careful. So Xenovia would take Vesuvius and Seraphil who were still unconscious. While that was happening. Kaneko. We have the battle key. Irina. Now we just have to wait for the team. Back with Issei. This one together with Vert were on guard ready to fight Critus. Critus. The prophecy spoke of you, those with the fiery spirit. Vert. I've already been told that I'm warm-blooded. Issei. Included with me. Issei. Vert. Ready to burn. So the two would begin to fight against Critus, being a little difficult for them. Even if Issei had the night promotion, it was difficult for him to keep up with Critus until they would fall to the ground exhausted. Critus. It's a shame he has to extinguish his flame. But Issei and Vert would be saved by Zemric. So entering the tunnel and Stanford would seal the entrance so everyone would return to Earth. Kaneko. So that Critus guy is very strong. Issei. Yes, but he doesn't know my true potential, just like you girls. Seraphil. You're right, darling, but it would be difficult to face him. Vesuvius. Even so, Sage already said that fighting the Reds will be the hardest battle of all. Irina. But we will win. Xenovia. And we will succeed. Sage. That's the spirit. Vert. They are right, we will win. All. Battle Force 5 united and attacking. What will happen next? How will the battle against Critus and the Red Sentients play out now? Find out in the next chapter. Chapter 3. The Rise of the Red Sentients. Previously, our protagonists faced the Vandals and the Sarks, who had joined forces to obtain the battle keys, which they failed to achieve. This would lead everyone to the planet of the Blue Sentients. Until after Sage returned, things got out of control because Critus, Sage's twin brother, had returned, complicating things. But luckily, thanks to Zemric, our heroes managed to escape, ready to face this new threat. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the intro. How in the original story Zemric had lost his head, but using Zug they managed to escape from the planet of the Blue Sentients. Meanwhile, the team was getting ready because they would soon have to face Critus. Issei. I wonder how we're supposed to take down Critus if we literally don't know how to destroy him. Xenovia. Sage already said it will be difficult but not impossible. Irina. Well, I hope we find out how to finish him off. And as in the original story, the boys would receive a message from Zemric that he had the coordinates of the prison of each of Critus's team, but if they wanted the coordinates, they would have to rescue him from the Vandal planet. Stanford. I hate that planet. Issei. And why do you hate him? Stanford. Believe me, you'll see it one day. Vert. Okay, get ready team because we're going to Vandal. Just like in the original story, the boys would vandalize and manage to save Zemric and Zug. Issei. Very well Zemric, we fulfilled our part of the deal, now the coordinates. Zemric. Sending coordinates. So the boys would already have the coordinates. Xenovia. Well, according to the sentient watch that Sage gave me, it shows me the coordinates. Vert. Sherman, Spinner have the coordinates too. Sherman. If according to the coordinates the Red Sentients are located in. Surprised Spinner. 4 battle zones. Irina. So many battle zones. Kaneko. Why would you lock Critus and his companions in 4 battle zones? Zemric. You wouldn't understand organic, but well, ordeal is over, but first you're organic with a strange glove. Issei. Me? What do you want with me? Zemric. It may sound strange to you, but when I was with Krytus leading his troops, it was during those times that a strange creature arrived on the red planet. The peculiar thing is that it had a red glove with an emerald gem like yours. It also had the ability to create its own armor, but when I was going to capture it, it escaped from my hands. Everyone was pleasantly surprised, especially Issei and the girls. Issei. So in this world there existed a Sekiryuutei like me. Greg. It's really hard for me to remember since I don't recall any of my former carriers ending up in this world. Xenovia. Then we think about that for the moment. We have to go and prevent Krytus from releasing Kytron. Vert. Xenovia is right, Battle Force 5, it's time to go. So everyone would leave through a portal. Minutes later. While Sage was finishing off the Vert and Issei battle key, they would notice a strange orb. Issei. Sage una pregunta. Sage. What's going on? Issei. What is this thing? Sage. It is a fusion capsule, but it is still in development. Vert. The name sounds interesting. Issei. I want to know what he'll do. So finally the team was ready. Vert. Listen to me. I know this battle will be difficult and that these opponents are not like the Vandals or the Sarks, but there is also the possibility that our lives could end at any moment when facing enemies like these. Issei. But despite everything we have to fight, give it our all, and if we fall we have to try to get up, and if we can't, at least we'll die with honor, and no matter what happens, I'm glad to fight by your side. Spinner. And that's how they give us motivation. Arena. Well, it's good motivation, Spinner. So everyone would enter through the portal, but they would quickly start dodging some pistons. Issei. Damn, I didn't expect there to be pistons here that could crush us. Vesuvius. We'd better find Krytus before he releases Kytron. Seraphiel. I think we're a little late on that, look. So everyone would see that Krytus was already face to face with the Kytron capsule, thus freeing him. Xenovia. It would be better to face Krytus and Kytron. Issei. Everyone split up. So they all split up and started fighting Krytus and Kytron, although it was difficult for them to dodge the pistons. Kaneko. Issei-senpai, can you hear me? Issei. What's wrong, Kaneko? Why are you so excited, like you're Stanford? Kaneko. Help. A killer is chasing me. Stanford. Ayudai. Vesuvius. We'll go help them. Asi Vesuvius lendo Ader Kaneko y Stanford. So the rest took care of Krytus until finally the Cortez brothers deciphered the pattern of the pistons. The boys managed to defeat Kytron, thus Issei and Vert being trapped with Krytus. Krytus. Humans will not escape again. Issei. Who says no? So Issei and Vert would run avoiding Krytus and then manage to destroy the glass where they were so the rest would fall on Krytus, thus managing to defeat him. Then everything would happen like in the original story, the liberation of Kyberi, Krylox and Kyrices, so everyone would start fighting against each other in different battle zones. Arena and Kaneko joined forces with Agura and Zoom, and Stanford managed to defeat Kyberi and Kytron. Vesuvius and Seraphiel together with Sherman and Spinner would manage to defeat Krylox and his double copy. Leaving only Krytus and Kyrices. Until finally Vert and Zoom would use the fuser, thus Saber and Chopper would merge. Vert. United. Vert Zoom. And on the attack. So starting to even things out. Issei. So that's what he meant by fusion capsule. Xenovia. It's amazing. But the Skyknife had run out of power so the boys would continue fighting. Zoom and Xenovia luckily eliminated Kyrices. But Issei and Vert had a disadvantage against Krytus, but thanks to Sage, the two finished off Krytus, sending him to the Cryptas area along with his team. Later on Earth. The team was sleeping peacefully, but Issei would be woken up by Xenovia. Issei. What's wrong, Xenovia-chan? Xenovia. Sage needs us, she says she wants to talk to us urgently. Issei. Oh my gosh, what do you want to talk to us about, you asked me. Minutes later. Issei. Well Sage, the girls and I are already here, so what do you want to talk to us about? Sage. Issei, girls listen to me carefully, I've been thinking about it, so I decided that for the moment you will take a vacation so you can travel the world. Xenovia. And why do you want us to take a vacation? Sage. Well, I know you're superior to my brother and his team, but I want Vert and the rest to take charge for now, since I want to see your full potential, and I want you to continue being a great team. Seraphiel. In short, do you want us to take a vacation away from here so they can face the Reds for the time being? Sage. Exactly. Issei. Well, the truth is I'm not 100% sure, but if it's so the boys can discover their true potential, then I accept. Xenovia Seraphiel Vesuvius Arena Kaneko. We also accept. Sage. That's great, for now your vacation will last a few months, since you will travel to the most important countries in the world, or rather the whole world, and then you will be able to return. Issei. Okay, but when do we leave? Sage. Today, so get your things ready because your transportation will arrive soon to take you to the airport. So Issei and the girls were packing their things and in a limousine they would get to the plane taking off. Issei. Well, vacation around the world, here we go. Xenovia Serafal Rasuius Arena Kaneko. Wujo see. So a new adventure away from the team is about to begin for our protagonists, but what adventure will it be? Meanwhile, the following would be happening in Los Angeles. After having stopped Deborah Pizza, the same thing would happen as in the original story until finally the team had convinced Doña Dawn to let them go to Rio de Janeiro on a mission to discover the strange formula that could destroy the entire world. Cisco. Hey, what do you think we'll find in Rio? Frosty. We'll surely be able to finish this mission, that's more than certain. Echo. It's true, it will be exciting. Tony. You're right, I don't know why, but I have a feeling that we'll meet new friends who aren't like us, it'll be super exciting. Everyone. See. What happens next? Find out in the next chapter. Chapter 4. Welcome to Rio de Janeiro, new friends. Previously Rias released Kitron, but luckily our protagonists and Battle Force 5 would manage to defeat them due to Rias released the rest of his team, that is, Kyberry, Krylox and Kyrices, thus complicating things a bit with Issei and Vert because they had it difficult, but finally they managed to defeat the entire Rias team, but now for the moment Issei and his partners would have to take a vacation, this suggested by Sage, so that the rest of the team can discover their true potential. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the intro. Issei narrates. 6 months had already passed since our journey around the world had begun, and little by little we were getting to know this world, and now our next destination was Rio de Janeiro. Normal narration. In Rio de Janeiro. Issei and the girls were walking around looking at the whole place. Issei. Wow, Rio de Janeiro is incredible. Xenovia. I never thought this place would look so cool. Kaneko. Capoeira catches my attention. Vesuvius. You have a point, Capoeira looks interesting and cool. Serafal. Everything here catches my attention, especially the drawings on the walls. So everyone would see the drawings of an unknown woman. Irina. This is great, but I wonder who she is. Issei. We'll find out later, for now let's continue with the tour. But as they walked they noticed some cars passing by, and they were the Toretto team. Issei. Who will they be? Xenovia. I don't know but they remind me of boys. Kaneko. Something doesn't add up, I suggest we follow them. Issei. You're right Kaneko, let's give it to him. So the boys would be following Team Toretto without them noticing because they were focused on finding Layla. Cisco. And how will we find Layla in this place? Tony. It's simple, we have the formula the gangsters are looking for, so they'll lead us to Layla. Echo. Well, I don't think it's that easy. Frosty. Well, we better look, and fast. This would happen as in the original story, until the spies were surrounded by some motorcyclists and Lieutenant Roca. Roca. Alright, guys, follow me. So the Toretto team would follow Roca until they finally reached a house, but without even Roca and his men realizing it, Issei and the girls infiltrated the house. Issei whispering. I wonder what's going on here. Kaneko whispering. I don't really know but something tells me it's bad. The boys came to the windows listening to everything. Just as in the original story, Roca would tell the spies about Santa Rafaela, the daughter of the Moreno family, but she died after being hit by a stray bullet because some gangsters went to kill her father, Mr. Moreno, but all of Rio de Janeiro always remembered her with great love. Everyone was crying including Issei and the girls. But finally the leader of the gang would arrive, which was none other than Layla, just like that after taking the photo of the formula. Layla. Well, finish them off. So the Toretto team would start fighting the gangsters, but there was no way out. Cisco. I have an idea. So Cisco would throw a chair and then everyone would jump out, falling onto the chair. Cisco. It would have been better if we fell on the couch. On that. Issei. Hey, are you okay? Tony. If we feel good, Gra. But the boys would be surprised to see Issei and the girls flying with their demon wings. Tony surprised. How the hell are they flying? Issei. Long story, we'll explain it later. For now, let's run. So everyone ran away, the girls would accompany the rest of the Toretto team, while Issei went with Tony, thus starting a chase throughout Rio de Janeiro. Issei. What exactly are these guys looking for with you? Tony. Well now that they have the formula that's in my arm now they want to kill us. Issei. What a logical explanation. Tony. Frosty, have you already called Mrs. Ware? Frosty. I'm still on it. The chase would continue as in the original story, except that the girls would help Team Toretto until Frosty finally sent them the coordinates of the safe house. Issei. Girls, go to the shelter house. I'll see you there later. Besides, we'll have to give a big explanation to our new friends. Xenovia Serafal Rasuius Arena Kaneko. Understood, dear. So Tony's vehicle continued to be pursued by Layla's until finally Tony was reaching the bottom of the cliff. Tony. Everyone pray for me. Issei. And by me. So the vehicle would finally jump and finally the boys had been saved by the skin of their teeth. The next day. Tony and Echo joined Issei and the girls had arrived at the safe house. How in the original story Team Toretto insisted that Layla was a criminal but Tony didn't accept it. Issei. Tony is right about something. I say that overnight she can't go back to that path, so I suggest you stop saying that about that girl because I, being a demon, can't see that she's not bad and that's why I agree with Tony. Xenovia. Ice-kun is absolutely right, wasn't she supposed to have helped them once? And yet they still dare to say that she's a criminal, what kind of friends would they be if she listened to them? Arena. At least Tony knows she's not a criminal like you guys. Echo, Cisco and Frosty were thoughtful. After that the boys would proceed to tell everything about themselves, leaving the spies surprised, but they would see that it was true when they showed their demon wings. Then, like in the original story, the team would meet Mrs. Where and Gary were after putting the team together and meeting the kids. Lady, where? Very well Issei hi Odo if you and your girls can help in any way I would kindly appreciate it. Issei. Don't worry, we won't let you down. Kaneko. By the way, what is this? Kaneko would say it while showing a book or rather a manual. Lady, where? It's the spy manual, you can read it if you like. Kaneko. I think I could read it. Issei. Well you read the manual we will help the team. This is how it would happen as in the original story Frosty would discover that the formula could explode when it came into contact with oxygen, so Tony would quickly go to warn Layla, followed by Issei and Serafal who would cover his back. In the chase, what happened in the original story would happen until Layla finally returned, having been freed from the mind control. After giving the hidden camera to Layla, the boys would return to the base, although Echo and Cisco did not believe in the mind control thing. Until Frosty would confirm it by testing the formula on Tony, who began to do what he was told. Issei. Yes, it's true about mind control. Echo, surprised. Oh damn this thing is real. Serafal. How did your eye turn out? And Echo. Echo-senpai has to learn to notice things that are real. How in the original story the kids would see that the leader of all this is Rafaela. Issei surprised. Isn't that girl supposed to be dead? Xenovia. Well, it seems he faked his death. But they would see how Rafaela behaved like a spoiled child. Frosty. Is that woman a saint? Arena. Sounds more like a spoiled, self-centered piece of shit. Vesuvius. I agree with you too Arena, I also hate those kinds of people. Echo. We have to do something fast. Kaneko. We already know what the formula is for, what they want to use it for, and who the boss is. Echo. It's time to stop Rafaela's plan. Barry. We have to wait for Mrs. Where we don't know what happened at Interpol. Kaneko. Then call again. But when I called again the call went through the voicemail. Echo. That's all. Kaneko. Send him a damn message with a demon. Barry. They are some little ladies where? Arena. Ice-kun I think Kaneko is starting to remind me of Rias. Xenovia. It's literally like she's in charge just like you. Issei. Yes, I really don't know how I didn't notice. Greg. I hope he doesn't give orders like Mrs. Where? Just like in the original story, everyone would see that Layla would have to race against two female drivers. Rafaela. You'll have a little competition, the winner lives. That surprised Layla. Rafaela. I entrusted you with delivering the formula, darling, but you failed and it's not funny I need to know if you can handle the pressure. Layla. Oh, you want to see how he handled it? Well, bring some popcorn because it'll be a show. Back at the shelter house. Serafal. I brought the popcorn. Arena. Yes how great. Issei surprised. Where did you get the popcorn? Serafal. I have my tricks, darling. I would say it while giving Issei a kiss which he would reciprocate. Greg. That's weird. So everyone focused on watching the race. On the starting line. Rafaela. The path is marked, take a tour of the 5 favelas and return the only rule is. Don't get lost. So the race would finally start and the other 2 drivers were ahead but Layla caught up with them and the race would continue. But everyone saw that the drivers were literally crazy because they drove through walls without a care in the world. But ultimately Layla would win the race. Layla. Yes, I won. Rafaela. How nice El money. Layla. Did you really think someone could beat me? Rafaela. No, I'm glad you won. You were the best and I'm always right about everything. You were very clever. In the end, it seemed like you were going to get out of the way, but then you used reason and didn't take any risks, and that's when I realized you were faking the mind control. That surprised Layla, and she was later grabbed by some men. Rafaela. I spotted you the first mysterious driver, she's your old boss. So one of the drivers would take off her helmet, revealing that she was Mrs. Where? Rafaela. Surprise. In the shelter house. Echo Kaneko. Where are you? Issei. I literally didn't expect that. Xenovia. But who could that other driver be? I sense a familiar demonic presence in her. Issei. I'm sorry too, but we don't know who it is. Back with Layla. Layla? And who is the other one? Rafaela. Oh, save the best for last. Surely those demons are watching this and feel your presence. Then, Issei Hyodo, Xenovia Quarta, Serafal Citri Leviathan, Rasuius, Kaneko Tauju and Arena Shidu, prepare to be amazed, since the second mysterious driver is someone you know, and who I easily controlled. At that point, the other mysterious driver would take off her helmet, revealing that it was none other than Rafaela. I present to you Rias Gremory, the heiress of the Gremory clan. So the second mysterious driver was none other than Rias, who was controlled by the formula. Issei surprised. Would you laugh? Serafal sorprendida. Rias-chan. Xenovia Rasuius Arena, surprised. President. Kaneko surprised. Rias-senpai. At that point, everyone would be surrounded by Rafaela's henchmen, and Tony would act like a chicken. Tony surprised. But what the hell? Cisco. Oh yeah, I ordered you to act like a chicken. What happens next? Find out in the next chapter. Chapter 5. By Ugly Ones, Rafaela is defeated. Previously, our protagonists, while in Rio de Janeiro, met some new friends who are a team of spies, thus deciding to help them in their mission. After Layla's race, Rafaela would reveal that the mysterious drivers were Mrs. Ware and Rias Gremory, one of Issei's partners. Unfortunately, our protagonists would be surrounded by Rafaela's henchmen. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the intro. In the jungle. Kaneko and Echo could be seen hiding among some trees, watching Donya Dawn pass by and Rias, but the two quickly launched an attack against both, but would be knocked down. Lady, where? They were so close but so far at the same time. Rias. We have to admit, they almost defeated us, but they couldn't, so we're sorry it had to end like this. She would say it while she and Mrs. Where were approaching Echo and Kaneko, who were scared. You might be wondering how we got to this point. Let's back up a bit. Long ago. Issei and the girls were chained tightly as they watched Frosty being taken by Rafaela so she could improve her formula. Issei. Hey, you haven't answered our question. Xenovia. How were you able to control Rias? Your formula couldn't have worked against her. Rafaela. Oh, that's a good question, dear girl. Well, a while ago I found Rias unconscious outside our headquarters. I took her inside and put her under the mental control of the formula, and then she told me everything about her world. And where did she tell me about you guys being with your spies? So here we are, but well, see you. So Rafaela and her men would leave, taking Frosty with them. Issei. Damn, we have to get out of here, but these shackles are too strong, not even materializing the boosted gear will work to break the shackle. Vesuvius. In addition, the chains are resistant and have magic of Rias, which complicates things. But then Kaneko had easily freed herself from the chains and shackles. Layla surprised. How did you do it? Kaneko. Rias-senpai took care of me since I was little when my sister left me with a Gremory for my own good, and I gradually learned about magic. Also, Rias-senpai taught me how to counteract and free myself from magical chains, so I only used Senjutsu, but well, we have to go. Echo and Kaneko had escaped because Kaneko was going to escape by destroying the door, but that would be worse, so she escaped together with Echo in the same way as her. Just like in the original story, the chase would continue until at one point Echo and Kaneko would fall into a waterfall. Rias. This is Delta E, bring some drones with heat trackers, we have 2 underwater. Boy. You don't think they survived, do you? Lady, where? They are not that easy to finish, so we will not leave until we find Echo and Kaneko. Rias. So move if you don't want me to kill you. How in the original story Echo and Kaneko would steal a radio to be able to trick Donya Ware and Rias. Meanwhile, Tony and Cisco would tell how they met Echo. Issei. Seriously, you wrote a poem about a 440 engine. Xenovia. What kind of crush is that? Serafal. Ha 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 ha. Vesuvius. What's funny, Serafal? Serafal. It's just that when I told Sutan that I was in love with Issei, she told me that Issei is the first crush I've ever had in my entire life, and the truth is that the way she said it was very funny. Arena. Wow, I didn't expect Sona to say that. Tony. And who exactly is she? Sad Issei. Sona Citri was the leader of the Citri clan, she is also Seraphal's younger sister, and she was also a great friend. Layla. And what exactly happened to her? Sad Seraphal. Sutan died protecting me from the blast of the Trix's attack. Vesuvius. That's right, we have to tell you about ourselves. Layla. Wait, first tell me how you met Kaneko. Tony. And how did Issei and she fall in love? Issei. Well, the first to meet Kaneko was Rias, since when Kuroka, Kaneko's older sister, killed her master they had to flee. Xenovia. But Kuroka killed her lover for Kaneko's sake, since that bastard was going to use Kaneko for his experiments. Vesuvius. That's why Kuroka killed her lover, to protect Kaneko, but so that she wouldn't look for her, she had to modify Kaneko's memories, and so Kuroka left Kaneko with a Gremory, and so Rias took care of her since she was little. Cisco. That story is very sad. Issei. And well, when I met her I didn't get along very well with her, since how to say it. Drake. You were a bucking perverted piece of shit. Issei. Thanks Drake for saying it that way. Tony. Ignoring that, he continues. Issei. And well, with the passage of time Xenovia and Arena and Vesuvius joined the Gremory clan, but also little by little, I left that attitude in the past and only focused on overcoming my trauma and protecting everyone I loved, that includes my partners who gave me their support at all times, always telling me that they would wait for me as long as necessary. In Kaneko, well, I helped her so that she accepts herself as she is, since she did not want to use her true power. Very. That's very touching. Cisco. What kind of trauma are you talking about? Layla. I imagine it was a very disturbing and scary one. Tony. Tell us a little bit. Issei. Well, taking advantage of this, we'll tell you everything about ourselves. Meanwhile. As in the original story, Echo would find the truck, but the defenses would be activated so she and Kaneko would hide. Echo. Damn, it didn't work. Kaneko. Echo senpai, don't you think we can only access the truck with the help of Mrs. Ware? On that. Lady Ware. The Nekomata is right, did you really think you could use my truck? Nice try. Rias. Oh Kaneko, it seems that your friend could not help you, but this is the case, you will not be able to use the truck. We have an army and several weapons, well, you are in a foreign country without contacts and without friends. Lady Ware. The Redeed is right and they have nowhere to run. Echo. Hey, who said anything about running away? Kaneko. Where are you? Rias senpai already knows where we are. Come get us. Lady Ware. Friends challenge accepted. Rias. You're going to regret it. At night. All the boys had fallen asleep after listening for hours to all of Issei's adventures. Arena was looking at the moon, but she saw that Issei was still awake. Arena. You can't sleep, can you, honey? Issei. No, and the truth is I'm worried. Rias is being controlled by that formula, and it could do something bad to Kaneko, and I don't want anything to happen to her, and I want the Rias I know to come back to me. Arena. The truth is I'm worried too, because apart from them being my friends, I consider them my sisters like Xenovia, since I was never able to have a brother or sister, and all of you are like my family. Issei. I know, but can I ask you something? Arena. What thing? Issei. You never explained to me why you became a demon, since I always saw that you liked being an angel, but since you never explained it to me deep down, I always thought it was because of me that you became a demon. Arena. If I could free myself, I would hug you tightly to tell you that it wasn't your fault that I made this decision. Issei. Really? Arena. I made this decision because I decided it on my own, since I always spent time with you, and I saw that demons are not bad, besides I wanted to spend time with my friends, and sooner or later I knew that my death would come, but you know there is something that my mother always told me. Issei. And what was that? Arena. If you go too far it will be the end was a phrase my mother said in the song she always sang to me, but getting back to the topic, that's why I made the decision to be a demon, because at some point I would die, but I would do it next to my family and the person I loved, and that is you. Issei. Thank you Arena, for loving me despite how I was before. Arena. Since I met you when we were little, I fell in love with you, so I always planned to be with you if I saw you again. On that. Tony. Wow, everything you said is incredible and touching. The two would see that it was Tony and Layla. Issei. I guess they can't sleep like us, right? Layla. Nope, we can't sleep. Arena. I think I have an idea, so just listen. And so Arena would begin to sing. When Arena finished the song she would see that Tony and Layla had fallen asleep, and so had Issei, and before Arena fell asleep. Arena. Rest, my friend. The next day. As in the original story, Echo and Kaneko set a few traps, managing to eliminate those who accompanied Donya Dawn and Rias, leaving only them. And so we come to where we left off. Echo and Kaneko were slowly backing away. This is where you were my best student, much better than Gary. Rias. I took care of you since you were a child, Kaneko, you are like a daughter to me, apart from being part of my family, but it is a shame that you have to go, goodbye Kaneko. Lady, where? Goodbye said. But both would fall into a pit of quicksand. Rias? What the hell is this? Echo? Ha 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 ha, it's a silly trap. Kaneko? Spy rule number 73, nothing relaxes your enemy like success, bam what? But Mrs. Where and Rias were beginning to emerge from the quicksand. Lady, where? We will come for you. Rias? And when we get out of here we're going to. But both received a tremendous punch in the face. Kaneko? Sorry, Tears senpai. Minutes later. This is where and Rias were beginning to wake up. Rias? Where am I? And why am I alive and trapped in a quicksand pit? Now I remember, they controlled me. Kaneko? It's good that Rias senpai is back. Echo? It's good to have you back boss, just like the redeed. At that Rias would look at Kaneko a little annoyed. Rias? A question Kaneko, did you hit me? Kaneko? Yes, sorry, that's why you and Miss, where were you going to escape from the trap? At that Rias would pout. Rias? And you couldn't leave me here with her and wait for the effect to pass. Kaneko? I already said they were going to be released, so we had to give each of them that beating. Echo? We have to go, we have like an hour for Rafaela to kill the team. Kaneko? And also that he gets rid of Issei senpai and the girls. Lady, where? Well, help us get out of here and heat up some pies. Rias? That bitch is definitely going down. Minutes later. The four of them were already inside the truck. Rias? In short, you, Issei, and the others ended up in this world where you met a team of runners called Battle Force 5, right? Kaneko? That's right, but for the moment, Sage-san gave us a vacation and as you see, we ended up in Rio de Janeiro and we met the spies behind the wheel, as Frosty-san says. Rias? Well, no wonder this truck is armed to the teeth, right, ma'am where? This is where? Indeed friend, but well we have to get to Rio and stop Rafaela from doing what she wants to do. Rias? And what exactly does he want to do? Why don't I remember that? Echo? I think he's going to release the formula and control everyone's minds and then maybe take over the world. Rias? Seriously? Don't you have anything else to do? This way the truck would get out of the quicksand. Meanwhile. How in the original story Rafaela would free Tony and Layla but also Issei. Rafaela? What do you think? Is it too tight? Or does it need more? Issei? I'll be honest, it's like a damn unicorn vomited on you. Greg? Take it all bitch. Layla? It looks like a rainbow vomited on you. So Rafaela would control Tony and Layla and also Issei. So then they would go to the race, arriving at the race together with the formula. Then, as in the original story, Donya's ambush plan wouldn't work because the boys had gotten free. But the boys would manage to get on the spy truck and begin to escape, reaching the road. On the other hand, the race had already started and Issei was also part of Rafaela's team because he was controlled. Back with the team. While on the run the boys would reveal that they were no longer being controlled. Issei. Did you really believe it? Greg. How stupid, you can't control my partner. Meanwhile. The team was already arriving, but there were several patrols blocking the perimeter, as well as a damn tank. But Gary would activate the armor on the front of the truck so the missile launched by Roka's tank wouldn't work and the truck would knock down the patrol cars and the tank. While the race was about to end, Tony trying to stop Rafaela's car would cause the car to head towards the truck with the formula, thus exploding, releasing the formula, thus Rafaela would order everyone to attack the spies and the boys. Rafaela. By horribles. Rias. Damn Yahoo. This way everyone would be able to save themselves by getting into the spy truck. Rias. My cute ice cun. Issei. Rias. So both would hug each other tightly. Issei crying. I'm glad you're alive and not controlled anymore. Rias. I'm glad you're okay too. So the two would give each other a tender kiss. Xenovia. It's good to have you back with everyone Rias. Layla. I'm sorry to interrupt but there's something we have to do. But the plan from Donya where the team would manage to escape from the spy truck and thus begin to search for Rafaela. But the boys would discover that Rafaela was going to use the spy plane. From here everything would happen as in the original story and thanks to Tony and Layla and also to Issei and Rias and Kaneko Rafaela had been stopped. And with Frosty's help, the people under mind control had returned to normal, so everyone danced because they managed to win. Issei. Yeah that's CEE win. Rias. Rafaela, that's what you call success. Kaneko. Bam that in your face. So the kids were watching everything that was happening on the screens, but Rafaela would get up ready to try to escape, but she would be hit by a ukulele and she would be unconscious. Issei. What the hell? Greg. Who the hell knocked her out? On that. Be thankful we were following these gangsters so we could catch them. Everyone would see that it was nothing more and nothing less than a group of talking penguins. Issei surprised. Is it my imagination or am I seeing a group of talking penguins? Tony surprised. No, we are definitely seeing the same thing as you. Layla. And who the hell are you? Skipper. It's good that you asked, girl. This is how the penguins would give a military salute. Skipper. I am Skipper and I lead this brigade. He is Kowalski, he is the brain and intelligence of the team. The one here is Rico, our expert in explosions and destruction, and the last one is Kabo, the tender and adorable one, as well as a valuable member of our team. Rias. And they are like spies like our friends. Skipper. Indeed, this girl knows how to recognize spies, but well, we have to go, but if you need another group of spies to help you, don't hesitate to contact us. Kowalski, give them the communicator. Kowalski. Orden. So Kowalski would give Issei and Tony a communicator each. Issei. Well, it was a pleasure meeting you, Skipper. Tony. I hope we see each other again. Skipper. I say the same to you, you're cool so bye. So the penguins would go away in jetpacks. Kaneko. And they said penguins couldn't fly. Minutes later. The boys would reach dry land. Issei. It's good that you came back to me, Rias. Rias. I'm also glad we're together again. Us both would give each other a tender and loving kiss. To then start celebrating with the rest of the team. Donya dawned. Not bad, Toretto, you did well and you helped us a lot, thank you very much for helping. Issei. Hey, we still have to meet with our team, but we still have to continue with our vacation, but for now we will stay with you, helping you with whatever you need. Xenovia. Of course, if you accept, ma'am, where? Lady, where? A little more help wouldn't hurt, so welcome to the team. So Issei and his girls were happy. To then continue celebrating. Time skip 3 months later. Issei narrates. Then our vacation continued, but we were helping the spies in their missions, such as we stopped a guy named Cleve Kelso, and after that we traveled to the famous Mexico, where we had to stop a guy named More, who wanted the entire city to turn into burning lava. We also met new friends, and finally our last adventure with the spies was stopping a Russian guy named Sudarikov, who had created a virus called the Toretto virus, which was based on Tony's abilities. Also in that adventure we met an old enemy of the boys, and his name was Shashi, who was cool, but after finishing off the virus we didn't know what happened to him, but after that it was time to return because we had a task to accomplish, and it was to help Battle Force 5 in their battle against Krytus and his team of red sentients, but before leaving, we left the team a magic communication circle, so that they could communicate with us whenever they wanted and when they needed us. Normal narration. Issei and his girls were already outside the Battle Force 5 base. Issei. Home sweet home. So everyone would enter the base. What happens next? Find out in the next chapter. Chapter 6. I traveled to the past, Grimian's secret. Previously, our protagonists had the mission to stop Rafaela, which they achieved. They also recovered Rias, who was controlled by the formula. The boys also met some new, but small, friends. After several adventures with the spies at the wheel, Issei and the girls finally returned to the Battle Force 5 base, as they now had to stop the red sentients. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the intro. You could see Issei and Xenovia and Irina and Kaneko and Rias together with Battle Force 5 on the planet of the red sentients. Issei narrates. After we returned from our adventures with the spies at the wheel, Bird and the others told us everything they had experienced after we left, and also how there were new members in the team, which are Tez, their vehicle is the Splitwire, and there is also AJ, and their vehicle is the Gear Slammer. The truth is that they were surprised to learn about us, but now Sage sent us on a reconnaissance mission to the planet of the red sentients, because we must look for something important. He wanted Serafel and Rossweisse to come, but they fell asleep haha, since they were tired since well I did it with them, and with the others haha damn, it's somewhat uncomfortable to say it, but Serafel and Rossweisse fell deeply asleep, but returning to the previous topic, we still do not know what we are looking for on this planet. Normal narration. Issei. Damn, we still don't know what the hell we're looking for. Xenovia. No idea, but Sage said it was something serious. Irina. And we also have to look for something at 8 o'clock, but we don't know what it is. Bert. We are actually close to our goal. So the boys would be close, but Krytus. They dare to invade our planet. The boys would be attacked by Krytus and the Red Sarks. Issei. Damn see. Sage. Remember this, trust in the future. Bert. We don't have time for this, move on no. So everyone would be heading towards the target and everyone would see that it was already 8 o'clock. Xenovia. Sage said we had to look for something at this time, but what is it? Issei. Hey, what is that? But when passing through a triangle-shaped structure, both Issei and the girls, as well as Battle Force 5, would be trapped by the structure, which is actually rocks with the drawn crystals. Then they all disappear before Kridus's eyes. Meanwhile in the past, the boys would be traveling through a tornado of blue and red. Vert. Blue, red. When those energies combine, something bad happens. Issei. You think. Then the boys would appear outside the same area, only now there were red and blue sentients surprising everyone. Rias. Where the hell did all these sentients come from? Kaneko. I have no idea, but this is strange. Tez would later explain that the rocks they hit contained double helix energy, which caused them to travel back in time. Issei. Sounds awesome, this is like going back to the future. Arena. It could be affection, but it would be different. Xenovia. But whatever it is, the Reds are winning the battle. Agura. Vert, we enter the fight. Vert. Whatever it is, it's over. He would say it while a machine collected the blue sentients. But then, like in the original story, there would be a rematch, this time with Battle Force 5 and the Gremory clan against the Reds. Roxas would approach them in that regard. Zoom. Roxas, what's happening, old man, don't you remember us? Roxas. Silence. They can only talk, not listen, man. Issei. So you're the big guy that Vert and Zoom told us about. Xenovia. The one who maintains order in the multiverse. Roxas. That's when they arrived I felt they made changes, I don't like changes. Kaneko. We don't like to be ironic here anymore. So the boys would prepare themselves because the objective was to make Kridus lose his patience and explode in anger. Just like in the original story, the boys managed to defeat Kridus's team, but they received a lot of damage, including Rias and Kaneko, leaving only Issei and Xenovia and Arena along with Vert and Tez. So they had to face some giant beasts. Issei together with Xenovia and Arena would finish off one of the three beasts. While Vert and Tez using the Shockblade managed to finish off the other two beasts but losing the Splitwire. Thus would begin the final battle. Issei. Very well, the Kridus of the past is different from the one in the future, which means I'll have to go all out. To then do the following. Issei had activated the balance breaker, literally surprising everyone. Vert. So that's Issei's famous balance breaker. Tez. It would be interesting if I saw the Red Emperor Dragon armor for the first time. Xenovia. Okay, we have to go with everything ready, Arena. Arena. I'm ready. Vert. Forward. So the four launched themselves against Kridus, managing to give him battle, but it was different because Kridus managed to give battle to Issei, and his balance breaker managed to destroy him, surprising him. Issei surprised. But how the hell was he able to destroy it? It's difficult to destroy the balance breaker, even for someone like Kridus. Greg. Comrade, remember that this is the Kridus of the past and not the future. While the battle continued, the others would already be in the Adron crystals ready to return to the future. Issei. Ascalon. Dragon. Blade. Thus Issei would summon the sword Ascalon. Issei. This is not over, Kridus. Xenovia. If you want victory, you must finish us off. Arena. And you won't succeed. So the three launched an attack together with Vert, clashing swords with Kridus, thus giving more fight until they would make Kridus fall into one of their traps. Afterwards he got angry, but in the end the boys managed to escape from the past by returning to the future and escaping from Kridus. Now you can see the boys facing Kalis, but just when they were about to catch him something would hit everyone, it was Grimion, and then the Vandals managed to escape. Issei. And who was that bucking ape? Rias. No idea. Vert. That is Grimion, a Vandal warrior. Agura. But how did Grimion do that? Stanford. He must have used some kind of advanced camouflage. Zoom. Can do that is not possible. Des. They can't, the only ones who can do it are the sentients, since they are the only ones who have advanced camouflage. Agura. But it's not possible for Grimion to use it. Then the boys, like in the original story, Vert joined with Agura and Tez, as well as Issei and Xenovia, and Arena and Kaneko, would go to help find Grimion and find out what Grimion was hiding. How in the original story the team would be looking for every Vandal, but they didn't find him until at a certain point they separated. Until finally the boys would discover the alliance between Grimion and Kridus and then go to warn Kalis, but not before finishing off Kyberi and Kytron with a trap. Then the boys managed to convince Kalis to join forces to defeat the enemy, so everyone launched an attack and Vert and Tez fused together to use the Shockblade. Agura. We'll take care of the Red Sarks, Vandals, follow me. Kalis. And leave the ape for me. So everyone was screaming, but everyone heard a war cry that was too loud, and so all the Sarks were destroyed by Arena in a very, very brutal way. Arena. Die already, damn shitty machines, I'm sick of you, why don't you rot, DEE. Thus all the Red Sarks were destroyed, and then Arena smiled. Arena. Problem solved, haha. Everyone broke into an anime-style sweat at that sight. Then, like in the original story, Kalis would manage to defeat Grimion, leaving with no other option. Kalis. Now get out of my planet. Agura. Ha, you're welcome. Vert. Leave it like that, we will complete the mission. Arena. Mayman, save your stupid vandals from the red sarks, and this is how you pay me back. Xenovia. Lamentable. Issei. Damn, I have an itch, now I understand why Stanford hates this shitty planet. Des. I agree with you 1,000,000%. So everyone would leave because they had fulfilled another mission. What happens next? Find out in the next chapter. Chapter 7. Red Alliance. Following Zemric. Previously, our protagonists made a trip to the past, but by altering the past, they had to fight and return it to normal, which they achieved with some effort. Later, the boys discovered that Grimion was allied with Krytus and that they were going to destroy Kalis, but luckily, this didn't happen thanks to our protagonists together with Battle Force 5. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the intro. How in the original story Sage was acting strange, something that was noticed by the entire team, including our protagonists. Later. Issei and Vert would manage to see a plan of a strange canyon. Vert. What is this? A weapon. Issei. That seems, but what will it be for? Greg. Buddy, we have company. In that, both would see that it was Sage, but her eyes were red and she was attacking Issei and Vert, and then Moby would leave, but she would be followed by Issei and Vert. Issei. Girl's answer. Xenovia. What happened? Rias. And where are you? We were surprised you weren't in bed sleeping with us. Issei. We have a code red portal open, Sage entered, and Vert and I are following her, come quickly. Arena. Understood, we'll go there. Then the communication would be cut off, and then Issei and Vert would enter the portal. But then it would happen like in the original story with Krytus talking to Vert, but Issei was also there, so after he would leave, leaving Issei and Vert thoughtful. Until noticing Sage's strange behavior, they both thought of a plan like that going to the red planet. Krytus. Did you have time to see my sister's behavior? Issei. Just tell me what we can do to stop her. Vert. Let it be clear that we cannot allow you to destroy Sage since she is our friend. Krytus. Well, they are fools, but Sage is not. So the boys would see that it was Roxas, so they went to confront him and managed to defeat him with the help of the red sarks. Then, like in the original story, Krytus would talk about the converters, but he wouldn't notice a detail because when he mentioned how to track them, he gave himself away. Thus, with a distress message, they would be able to attract the team to a battle zone. Rias. Ice-kun, what are you doing? Hineko. Why doesn't Krytus attack Senpai already green? Vert. Listen to me everyone, it may sound strange, but we have to deactivate Sage. Agura. What are you talking about? Xenovia. And what does this have to do with you, Ice-kun? Issei. Everyone should have noticed how Sage behaves, strange, forgetful, and even has plans that she hasn't told us. Krytus. Builds an artifact that could destroy the multiverse including his planet and other existing worlds. Arena. And why should we believe you? Issei. Why does he tell the truth? Greg. I agree with my partner and I can see in Krytus that he's not lying. Stanford. Wow, I don't know that every day. Then the battle would begin until when Krytus went after Agura, Issei and Vert, they transferred the location of the converters to the Splitwire and also to the girl's ancient watches, thus managing to destroy the converters and Krytus would leave. Back on Earth. Issei. Krytus should have known his first plan would fail. Vert. Allying with him was his backup plan, but he didn't count on us knowing. Issei. And that he didn't count on our cunning. Sage. They believed in me the whole time. Issei. Well, of course, after all, Drag knows when someone is lying and you have never lied to us. So Sage would show them the device, telling them that it was to fight an enemy stronger than Krytus. Afterwards Issei would go out to get some fresh air while on a mountain. Issei. I really miss them, you know, Drag. Drag. You mean the fallen angel half, the nun, and also the phoenix and the Nekomata's sister? Issei. That's right. Issei would say it while putting on a sad face. Sad Issei. And I also miss my parents since they died in the explosion, and Murayama-chan also died, and I really still miss everyone, and I also miss Sona. Greg. I see you were in love with the Arasitri, right? Issei sad. The truth is yes, because thanks to her I met Sarah-chan, and she also helped me declare my love to Sarah-chan, and she was a great friend, but I decided to forget about those feelings towards Sona, because I knew what Saji felt for her, so I decided to forget about her, but I couldn't forget these feelings, and I really miss her, and I miss the other girls. Issei would only start to cry because that wound still hurt. Greg. I know it hurts, buddy, but you have to keep going like this. Issei would just wipe his tears and then smile. Issei. You're right, Drake, I'm going to keep going no matter what I went through, and I won't give up. Now you can see the team in a simulation to extract some codes from Zemric in order to create an anti-Sark virus. Thus the simulation would end. Serafel. Wow, that simulation was amazing. Vesuvius. It will be easy to take the codes away from Zemric. Xenovia. Let's hope so because we can't fail. Later, thanks to the cameras on the planet Sark, the boys would see that Zemric and Zug were being followed by Krytus and his team of Reds. Issei. If Krytus destroys Zemric, we're screwed. Arena. We would lose the codes and it would be impossible to extract them. Kaneko. We'd better hurry. So everyone would go to the planet Sark, already facing the Torborian desert. Zoom. I can say wow. Issei. I multiply it by wow super woo. Spinner. I tripled it with an A. Xenovia. This place is amazing. Agura. I've seen several desolate places on Earth, but this one beats them by far. Kaneko. And what exactly is this place? Sherman. The Torborian desert is one of the most dangerous places in the multiverse. Des. Contains several ion storms, the splitwire sensors are unable to pass through them. Sherman. It might make searching for Zemric difficult here. Issei. Anything else? Des. Well, according to what I just investigated, this is the place of several beasts. Vesuvius. Now that you mention beasts, I was afraid of monsters when I was little. Serafel. Coincidence is the same with me. Xenovia. Why were they afraid of him? Vesuvius. To the cephalopods, that is, octopuses, squids and anything that had many long arms. Serafel. I say the same, but I'm over it. Vesuvius. Me too. At that point, everyone would start moving forward because they had to find Zemric. Minutes later. Following Agura and Kaneko, the boys would arrive at a place where Krytus and his team were. Kaneko. It seems the Krylox didn't know how to look up hahaha. Vert. We better hurry before it regenerates. But then the whole ground would start to shake. Des. Some of you are releasing power. Issei. Not exactly. A giant metal squid would emerge from the ground. Vesuvius scared. That's a calamire. At that the squid would attack, but everyone dodged the attack, but an attack was directed at Vesuvius. Vesuvius scared. So Vesuvius would end up fainting, and the squid would grab her just like Serafel since she ended up fainting anyway. Issei. Vesuvius, Sarah-chan. Then the squid would grab Tez and the splitwire since electromagnetic energy was what the squid ate. Then the boys would make the squid go away. Kaneko. Senpai estin bien Vesuvius y Serafel-sama. Issei. Well, luckily it was just a fainting spell from the scare. Greg. I don't think so, buddy, this doesn't look like fainting from fear, it seems to me like it's something more and it will happen to the others in 3, 2 and 1. Out of nowhere Xenovia, Irina and Kaneko fainted, surprising Issei. Issei. How the hell did you know this was going to happen? Greg. Please, I have my tricks. Bert. We have to follow Issei. Issei. I know, I'll take care of it. So Issei would carry all the girls following the rest of the team. Minutes later. The boys were watching Krytus and his team from a distance. Issei. It's good that they lost Zemric's trail so we can go after him. And that Xenovia, Irina and Kaneko would wake up. Xenovia. The hell why did I faint? I'm not scared of squid. Irina. I have no idea, but it seems that Vesuvius and Serafel-sama haven't woken up. Issei. I really don't know how to wake them up. Kaneko. I'm going to regret what I'm about to do. At that Kaneko would approach Vesuvius and Serafel and start slapping them. Kaneko. Wake up, 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 wake up. But this didn't work. Kaneko sad. Damn, that's supposed to always work. Issei. Don't worry Kaneko-chan, they'll wake up. Greg. I have a better idea, wake up, the squid is here. Vesuvius Serafel scared. We are awake, where is the squid, where So they both fainted again. Issei. Drag, but you idiot, you made it worse. The rest of Battle Force 5 would have anime style sweat drops coming out. Bert. A distraction would be better, Tez, than an electromagnetic trap. Des. But the electromagnetic energy of the splitwire was what attracted that giant squid. Bert. That's why we need to fire a wave at one of those red sarks. After executing the plan, the boys found Zug motionless because he was out of energy and didn't have his power cell either. Kaneko. Apparently Zemric was hit by someone and then dragged there. Issei. Well, let's go look. At that Vesuvius and Serafel woke up. Vesuvius. What happened? Did we miss something? Xenovia. Not much, like for example the squid was able to beat Krytus's team. Serafel. And that squid isn't here. Issei. Nope, he already left and stopped bucking around. Then, as in the original story, Spinner would control the Zelix to distract Krytos and his team. While the boys entered the giant building seeing everything surprised. Des. Incredible, a lost race of Sark that has built its own civilization in the desert. Sherman. They've been around for many generations, I see. Xenovia. But where are we supposed to find Zemric? Arena. It would take us forever to find it. But everyone would see that Zemric was acting strange and he would jump into the void, but Vert and Zoom would use the fuser, thus fusing with the skyknife, thus managing to save Zemric. Zemric Alpha. Leave me the Alpha code, it's calling me. Vert. We're sorry Zemric, but there's something we need from you. So while Sherman and Spinner were collecting Zemric's codes, the others were giving them time. Until finally the codes had been extracted, leaving Zemric to flee, who, as in the original story, Krytos would kill him by throwing his body into the void. Then the others were fleeing. The most important thing is that they would put explosives so Krytos and his team would fall. But when the skyknife would disappear, Vert almost fell as did Issei, but Vert would be grabbed by Agura and on Issei's side, he would be grabbed by Xenovia by the hand. Issei. Thanks girls, but who's holding the human chain? Kaneko. Me, since I have enough strength to hold off everyone. Later. The boys would discover that Zemric's codes were corrupted by the Alpha code. Spinner. It may seem strange, but I'm going to miss that crazy robotic dictator. Everyone looked at him confused. Spinner. Just kidding. Issei. You're not the only Spinner, I'll miss him too. Everyone was surprised by that. Xenovia. But why would you miss Zemric Ice-kun? Sad Issei. I needed to find out about that Sekiryuutei that existed in this world and he is the only one who could help me with that. Rias. A Sekiryuutei in this world. Arena. You see, when Krytos was looking for his team, Zemric gave us the coordinates of each of them. Kaneko. But Zemric said that in the past he had met someone similar to Senpai, someone who had the boosted gear and could create balance breaker. Des. Interesting, maybe I can find out in the old Zemric registry, but I can't guarantee anything. Issei. The strange thing is that I feel like I'm connected to him or her, it's like I'm family. Seraphle. Don't worry darling, as they say, the truth always comes to light. Vesuvius. And sooner or later we will discover who was the Sekiryuutei who was in this world. Issei would feel happy and everyone cheered him up. What will happen now? Is Zemric really dead? Will Issei be able to discover who the Sekiryuutei was who existed in the world he's in now? Find out in the next chapter. Chapter 8. Chaos in the jungle, united and attacking. Previously, our protagonists noticed how Sage was behaving strangely and then Issei and Vert supposedly joined Krytos and, upon discovering about the converters, they came up with a plan to destroy them. Then the boys went in search of Zemric because they needed to remove some codes from him to create an anti-Sark virus to deactivate all the Sarks, but unfortunately, Zemric's codes were corrupted by the Alpha code. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the intro. The Vandals can be seen capturing the Carmines while one of them, Trump, sent a signal to the team, but they still did not respond. But eventually the boys reached the planet of the Carmines. Vert. Well, Battle Force 5 is Vandal hunting season. Kaneko. I loved hunting. So everyone faces the Vandals. Even saving Trump from Krokomodo and so the Vandals were fleeing, but Vert and Tez using the shock blade managed to scare them 100%. Tez. Run away, Krokomodo, touch them again, and I promise I'll turn you into subatomic particles. Kaneko. And we'll also turn you into ashes until only your skeleton remains. Afterwards the boys would see how the Karamanos worked. Zoom. Last time this was a ghost town. Issei. I don't even want to imagine the first time they came. Trump. We're busy rebuilding after we were freed from the Vandals, and I can see you have more friends. Issei. Nice to meet you Trump, my name is Issei Hyodo, and these are my partners Xenovia Quarta, Irina Shidu, Rasuius and Kaneko Taoju. Trump. It's a pleasure to meet you all, but I'm surprised you don't have vehicles like Battle Force 5. Kaneko. Well, we don't need it, I'll tell you about us. Then, as in the original story, Trump would explain his plan to cut off the Vandal planet's energy source. Issei. Sounds like a great plan. Kaneko. Risky, but I love danger and I'm not afraid of danger. Irina. I say the same, I laugh at danger, ha 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 ha. Everyone broke out in an anime-style sweat and then they all set off for the Vandal planet. Vert. Well, remember, we go in, we put the pump, we set the time and we go out. Issei. All without the Vandals finding out. Xenovia. And lastly and very importantly, remember we have to be cautious. Irina. And silent. So everyone entering the portal but. Vesuvius. We have company. Irina. I take back my words. Issei. Stealth is over. Badge. What do we do, commanders? Issei. We have to stick to the plan and bring Trump into the cauldron. Kaneko. I agree with you senpai, but let's remember that Tez has to arrive safely. Vesuvius. What do we do now? Vert. Separate, we are going to distract Kalis. Issei. Kaneko-chan, I'm asking you to accompany Zoom and Tez since Trump needs more protection. Kaneko. Understood senpai, but be careful. So the boys split up, but Sever would realize this and go in the direction of the boiler to stop the boys. Meanwhile, Kalis was still chasing the boys, but like in the original story, Grimion and his army of vandals would start fighting against Kalis and his other subordinates. Arena. Okay, this is what I didn't expect. Xenovia. At least we can be thankful that it'll keep Kalis busy. Vesuvius. Let's go now. So everyone would continue on their way to the cauldron. Meanwhile, in the boiler, Kaneko would arrive together with Zoom, Tez and Trump, ready to detonate the bomb. But Sever would come and accidentally destroy the bomb, and now they had to activate it manually. Kaneko. Issei senpai, we have a problem and a serious one. Issei. And you have no idea of the mess out here, the Reds are attacking the Vandals, the planet is at war, and we are in the middle of this mess. Kaneko. Then that's two damn problems. Afterwards Trump would finally stay like that, Tez and Zoom would leave, but Kaneko stayed. Trump. Miss Kaneko, you must go too. Kaneko would approach Trump and then crouch down. Kaneko. As Tez said, he won't rest until he finds a way to take you home, and I won't rest until you return to your Karamano family. Trump. Thank you for those words, Miss Kaneko. Afterwards, Kaneko would hug Trump tightly, and he would hug him back while Kaneko just cried silently and then gave him a leaflet with a magic circle on it. Kaneko. Use it if you need it. Trump. Thanks for this. So Kaneko would leave Trump. Meanwhile, the others had finally reached the boiler, but Kaiberry and Kaitran would arrive complicating things, but even so the boys would face them starting to escape since it wasn't long before the bomb exploded. Issei. We have to go and fast. So the boys, with a strategy, managed to leave Kaiberry and Kaitran behind, and then the bomb finally exploded, thus causing the wave to begin following the boys. Aj. I accelerated, but I'm not going to make it. Vert. What you need is a boost. So Vert and Aj work in creating the Rigsaw. Issei. How cool and genius the Rigsaw looks. Vert. That's true. So the boys managed to escape from the Vandal planet in time. Everyone was fine because they managed to defeat the Vandals, and now only the Red Sentients are missing. The team can now be seen facing Krytus and his team, looking for a way to destroy the drill from the original story. But unfortunately the drill managed to destroy the core of the battle zone. Krytus. They lost this battle, humans, and now they will lose the war. So Krytus and his team would leave. Afterwards the boys saved Vert using a new fusion, the Shatterbolt, managing to save Vert. How in the original story the kids discovered that the shock wave would awaken the entire Red civilization. Zoom. How can we face the entire Red civilization? Vert. With the whole civilization of blues. Zoom. Will the others be ready for the truth? Minutes later. The boys would be talking about finding the reunification point and uniting the blue sentience frames. Issei. Yes, that sounds like a good plan. Xenovia. But how are we supposed to find the reunification point? Arena. I have no idea, but one question. Is there a plan? Vert. I always have a plan. Issei. I also have a plan. After that it would happen like in the original story, Vert, Zoom, Agura, Stanford, Sherman and Spinner would go together with Issei and Xenovia and Arena and Kaneko and Serafel and Rasuius. Issei. Are you sure you don't want to come, Rias? Rias. Don't worry Ice-kun, after all, you and the others started this trip and it's only fair that you finish it. Issei. Está bien Piero. Rias. Don't worry, I'll be here as reinforcements and if they need me, I'll be on my way. Issei. It's okay. So both would give each other a tender and loving kiss and then Issei and the others would leave together with the rest of Battle Force 5. Then, like in the original story, Roxas would give them the battle key to go to the cave with the frames. Vert. Tez, we sent you the location of the battle zone. Des. Activating remote key programming. Thus obtaining the battle key. And that Vert would communicate with Cordian. Cordian. Vert Wheeler. Cordian speaks. Issei. His name is Cordian, what a curious name. Greg. You can't even say it, mate. Vert. Cordian, listen to me, we have Sage, she has the minds of all the blues, so we are on our way to unite their minds with the frames. Sherman. Question. Is there any place that looks like a reunification point? So Cordian would send them the image of the reunification point. Xenovia. It will be easy to get there. But in that the boys would be attacked by Krytus and his team, but Vert joined with Stanford, using the fusion of their respective vehicles, being followed by Issei and Xenovia and Arena. Vert. Cordian, we are here, we have to prepare Sage for. Issei surprised. What the hell? Everyone would see Cordian tied up in that. Krytus. Prepare her for what? The end of her race. Ha 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 ha. Everyone would see angrily that it was Krytus. Issei. Damn Krytus. Krytus. You and I humans here and now. So Issei would activate the boosted gear. Everyone went on the attack, but unfortunately Vert and Stanford lost the fusion. Vert. Take Sage to the reunion point. Stanford. I would if I could. But then the others would arrive, but Sage would wake up and go out and see that they were in the cave with the frames. Krytus. Face to face with my twin, did you think you were smarter than me? Sage. No, I just thought you were a threat to my people, to the multiverse. Krytus. You're right, sister. At that Xenovia and Arena launched an attack against Krytus. Xenovia Arena. Don't you dare touch that bastard Sage. But both would be sent flying by Kyros's fireballs. The battle would continue until, as in the original story, Kyberry would absorb Sage's energy. Vert. Sage sorry. Issei. I didn't think this would happen, forgive me Sage. Sage. No, the fist is made up of 5 fingers, united, and with the attack my people will be reborn. So Sage had died. Vert. Sage no. Back at base. Aj. This is bad, we have to help the kids. Rias. Aj is right, we have to help. Des. We have to wait for orders from Vert. Aj. How do you expect me to give us orders after what happened to Sage, we have to do something. Des. What we can do is only 5 vehicles of the team can be in a battle zone. That's where you would see the Mobi. Rias. Are you thinking the same thing as me? Aj. Do you mean using the Mobi? Rias. Exactly. Back with the boys. Krytus. My people are free, Sage is gone, this war is over, humans, ha 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 ha. Issei would start walking and activate his balance breaker, but Kyros's fireballs would go towards Issei. But Issei would come out of the fire. At that moment Issei was ready to enter the Juggernaut drive to kill everyone, but he would remember that he promised to never use it, so he would stop and deactivate his balance breaker. Issei. I made a promise and a promise to the girls that I will never activate the Juggernaut drive again. The girls would just smile at that. And then the boys would realize that Sage transferred his mind to the cars, so everyone went to the reunification point, but only Issei and Xenovia and Arena and also Vert were missing. But then the Mobi would appear being driven by Tez and Aj. Aj. See, I told you my shortcut would work. Rias. And thanks to that we arrived on time. So Vert would go towards the launcher along with Issei and Xenovia and Arena being launched. Vert. You were right Krytus, this battle is over. Issei Xenovia Arena. But we won. At that the cars would begin to spin being orbs of energy, but Issei and Xenovia and Arena would begin to float. Issei confused. What's going on? Xenovia. I have no idea but it's weird. At that Issei would raise his arm and then shout. Issei. Boosted gear. Thus the boosted gear would release a large crimson flash. At that point the Ascalon sword would come out of the boosted gear and then Xenovia and Arena's Excalibur swords would touch the boosted gear. Xenovia. What the hell is going on? Arena. I have an idea. Greg. Partner, I remember when Krytus mentioned the Crimsons, he also mentioned the Crimsons, the 2 warriors and partners of the second Crimson, and that is your partner. Issei surprised. Does that mean Xenovia and Arena are part of the second prophecy? Greg. Indeed. Xenovia Arena, surprised. We certainly didn't expect that. And that the girls' powers would go towards Issei and Xenovia and Arena, entering the Excalibur swords and the boosted gear, and in that in the arms of Xenovia and Arena, some boosted gear would appear, a blue one for Xenovia. And a gold-colored boosted gear for Arena. Issei. Boosted Excalibur gear. So Issei's boosted gear would change in a very epic way. Issei. Release. So finally all the blue sentients had returned just like in the original story Sage banished Krytus and his team forever. Now we are located on the red planet and there were a lot of sentients both blue and red. Aj. Reds and blues together, one big happy family. Zoom. Haha how weird it feels. Rias. You're wrong about something, it's not strange, it feels good to see this union of races. Sherman. We have to get used to it. Sherman. Does anyone see a hot dog vendor around here? I'm hungry. Kaneko. Haha I'm hungry too. Rias. It's incredible that Ice-kun, Xenovia and Arena are the crimson ones from that prophecy, I can't believe it, he. Seraphil. Well Rias-chan it seems to be true and I didn't expect it either. Vesuvius. We should always wait to see something impressive. Kaneko. Yes, it's true, but I'm glad it's all over and Critus isn't coming back to bother us. So Sage would appear and everyone would applaud. Sage. So many years of conflict have left the multiverse in ruins. Let us rebuild together and the Council of Five will guide that effort. Welcome to a new era of peace. Everyone would applaud. Sage. I present to you some people who earned the right to lead the council. They are brave, they are honorable, they have merged divided civilizations again. I present to you the first, I present to you Vert Wheeler the First Crimson. Everyone would applaud. Sage. And finally I present to you the last ones. I present to you Issei Hyodo, Xenovia Quarta and Arena Shidu, the Crimson Sekiryuutei joined with their partners the two Crimson Warriors. So everyone would clap louder while chanting the boys' names. But Roxas was watching them. Roxas. They have strived, they have fought like heroes, they have balanced the scales, but the path is full of dangers, the ancients have weakened, but evil expands travel with me Battle Force 5, and Clan Gremory travel with me to the darkness. What happens next? Find out in the next chapter. Chapter 9. Total Revolution. You could see Roxas looking at the universe and then starting to narrate. Roxas narrates. The forces of darkness are strong, they instill fear and terror, but the warriors of light dispel fear, they overcome terror, warriors like Battle Force 5, commanded by Vert Wheeler the First Crimson, and also warriors like the Gremory clan led and commanded by Rias Gremory, but in the clan are Issei Hyodo, Xenovia Quarta and Arena Shidu, the Crimson Sekiryuutei and the Crimson Warriors, they crushed the Vandals. They destroyed Zembrick's army, leaving it to its fate in the desolate Torborian plain. They imprisoned Critus and all his followers, and ignited the lost minds of the blue sentients with the frames of their bodies. With the red sentients free from their hibernation, the war was over. The sentient civilization had been reborn, once enemies the blues, and the reds lived in balance, in peace until now. Click on the new intro for this story. New opening for this story. Chizetsu Dynamic Acoustic Version, the Dragon Ball Super opening cover in Latin American Spanish. Singer. David Delgado, Lateral Square. Module 5 Planet of the Blue Sentients. You could see the blue and red sentients walking around until a strange rock being would come out of a green portal and start causing havoc, so Issei, Xenovia and Arena would go, accompanied by Vert. Issei. We are being attacked. Xenovia. We need Mobus on the scene. From the green portal would come out no one more and no less than Master Takeyasu following the stone being fighting against him, but at one point the rock being would throw Master Takeyasu, but the boys managed to prevent him from getting close to the Nexus portal. Issei. Hey Vert, is this Master Takeyasu that they told us about when the dragon's mouth thing happened? Vert. Exactly. But unfortunately, Master Takeyasu would die, but not before leaving the message to Vert. But the rock being would manage to detonate the dark matter bomb, releasing a huge explosion of darkness. Arena. This is not good at all. Xenovia. What do we do now? Issei. Gather the Council of Five and do it quickly please. Minutes later. The Council of Five had already met. Sage. Vert, I'm very sorry about what happened to Master Takeyasu. He was a great man. Vert. I know, but now we have to find out what's going on. Issei. So what do you tell us what's going on? Karasavash. It's time for the Crimson to know everything Sage. So Sage would show the image of a giant rock being. Sage. Cromulax is the master of the Carmordials. Xenovia. Carmordials. Orlis. An ancient race of warriors. Sage. Besides they created the sentients. Karasavash. Although we evolved, they remained primitive, were jealous of our progress and attacked us. Karmacharis. But we red sentients attacked and kicked them out of the multiverse. Arena. I didn't believe that, and how did they finish them off? Sage. With the help of the Pentawarriors we were able to exile them. Dragon. Pentaguerreros. Orlis. They are sentient warriors. Sage. Possessing the best qualities of both blues and reds. Issei. Basically hybrid warriors. Sage. Exactly. Then, like in the original story, Vert would show the message and it would show that Vert's father, Jack Wheeler, had the metal key. Issei. Well, now we know what we have to do. Xenovia. We must find Vert's father in order to have the metal key. Sage. That's the main thing. Karasavash. How are the Crimson supposed to get to the Primordiverse? Issei. Don't worry, Karasavash, we already have a plan. Minutes later. The boys were heading to the portal to go to the ground and then enter. Issei Xenovia Arena. Sweet home. But they would see that they were not on Earth. Vert. Home. Lightning's own multiverse. Issei. I've never seen this battle zone. On that. Roxas. Greetings, Crimson. Beat. Roxas. Xenovia Arena. Hey, for someone your size you don't make that much noise. Afterwards Roxas would tell them that they needed help from Elixion, so the boys would go ask him for help, but they didn't get it. Meanwhile on Earth. In the desert everyone would be driving to the base. Rias. We will finally see Issei and Xenovia and Arena again. Vesuvius. I'm sure Issei will like the news we'll give him. Kaneko. And do you think Xenovia and Arena Senpai have already told you? Serafel. I doubt it very much. They probably want to keep it as a surprise, just like us. In that, everyone would go their separate ways. Stanford. Step aside, commoners. Zoom. The Stanford of always. Kaneko. Literally. Des. It is theoretically impossible for a person to remain the same as always. Minutes later. Everyone was already gathered, and so Verd and Issei and Xenovia and Arena would explain the mission, so everyone would begin the journey starting with Vandal Jungle Vandal Planet. Stanford. This planet looks familiar to me. Issei. You'll soon realize what planet it is. Agura. Sherman, Tez, have you found a way to get us to the Primordiverse? Sherman. Well, we consider the photon bridge theory. Des. The electroplasma theory. Sherman Tez. Why la teoria cortis volatov? Everyone. I mean. Spinner. They have nothing. Badge. I have faith in you. The boys then managed to escape from the Vandal planet while the wave of dark matter continued to advance. Meanwhile in the RN Primordiversity. Bert's father, Jack Wheeler, can be seen driving while still looking for an exit. Jack. These old maps are useless. I don't think the metal key will work as an interdimensional GPS. But Jack Wheeler would hide his car because two Carmordials were around and then he would continue on his way. Back with the boys. Dark Forest Battle Zone Multiverse. The boys had arrived at the battle zone of the Dark Forest. Rias. There are many battle zones that we don't know about. Issei. Well, it's normal, after all we were away from the team for a while and we didn't know what happened to them during that time. But then the Carmordials would appear. Kaneko. Damn, they're Carmordials. Vert. Agura, Cortez brothers merge and use the Smash Claw. So the Smash Claw tried to fight, but it didn't work because the Carmordials were strong, so the boys would be escaping until Elixir would save them, so everyone would cross the portal arriving at the Sub-Zero Battle Zone Multiverse. Then Elixir would cross the portal in time. Issei. And now why did you change your mind? Elixir. My reasons are personal. Issei. Ueki. Later the boys would be attacked by the Carmordials, but they would manage to escape, except for the Cortez brothers who were captured by Zorax and his green Sarks and controlled, and among them was Zemric. Meanwhile with the others. Multiverse Reactor Battle Zone. The boys were fixing their cars while Rias and the others were talking in secret while Verd and Issei felt bad for leaving the Cortez brothers behind. Elixir. I know that the decision to leave your friends behind was not easy. Issei. Verd. And you know this because. Elixir. During the war against the Carmordials I went through a similar situation to yours. So Elixir would tell Verd and Issei about his past and how it tormented him to this day. Then Zoom would discover Master Takeyasu's message, so everyone would go to the Dark Zone. Meanwhile. Battle Zone Increased Multiverse. The Cortez brothers were prisoners by Zorax, but thanks to Spinner, Zemric would remember who he was, thus destroying Zorax and regaining control of the Sarks. Thus, Zemric had returned. Back with the others. Dark Zone. The boys had finally reached the dark area. Issei. We arrived. Vert. Welcome to the Dark Zone, friends. Rias. This place gives me the creeps. Serafel. I get the chills too. Issei. Don't worry girls, don't be afraid. Stanford. This isn't that hard. Zoom. What? I wouldn't be so sure. At that the Dark Riders were approaching. Kaneko scared. And what are those? Vert. Rules of the game, do not touch or be hurt by the Dark Riders. Zoom. These are the remains of drivers who managed to get out. If they are injured, they will surely be theirs. Issei. Perfectly clear and understood. Asi Todos Esquivarian Las Attack Spiro on Attack Lidaria Elixir. Stanford. Kalis Susita Elixir. Xenovia. Choice what happens to you? Elixir. My frame was damaged due to matter leakage. Zoom. Friend. Issei. What the hell is going on? Vert. Guys, there is a difficulty. Agura. What kind of difficulty? Vert. Elixir is a hybrid between blue and red sentient. Stanford. And reds don't go very well with this area. Xenovia worried. That implies that he does have a wound. Arena, worried. It's a time bomb. Vesuvius scared. This is bad, very bad. Badge. Hey, what if it goes boom? Issei scared. We bucked up. Vert. And takes the multiverse with him. Back with the Cortez brothers. As in the original story, Spinner would reveal the path to the Primordiverse and Zemric would just smile. Back with the others. Serafel. And how long until we get Elixir out of here? Kaneko. Just a few seconds, look, there's the portal. So everyone would look at the portal like that, going and managing to cross in time. Rias surprised. Whoa, look at this place. Everyone had arrived. The primeval plane. Seraphle. Okay, I admit this place leaves me speechless. So everyone would continue on their way following the tracks of Vert's father's car. Meanwhile, the threshold limit of the multiverse. General Karmakaris gathered with many troop sentients were outside ready to attack, and also Roxas would join the fight. Back with the boys. Vert. What did you find, Agura? Agura. Your father was here and he has the metal key. Kaneko. Hey, look at other footprints. So everyone would see other footprints. Vesuvius. Possibly hunted by Carmordials. So everyone would follow the footsteps. Although on the other hand in the dark zone Zemric gathered with his troops and the Cortez brothers would cross the portal. The others had finally arrived. The threshold limit of the Primordiverse. Everyone would see that Cromulax and his troops were waiting for the threshold to open, but then a portal would appear, bringing out the Cortez brothers, along with Zemric and his troops. Issei. What's going on there? Xenovia. There are Sarks accompanying Sherman and Spinner. Rias. Stanford enters the Buster's communication system. Stanford. At your service. So everyone would hear the following. Zemric. I am Lord Zemric, Supreme Commander of the Sark Empire. Issei surprised. Is that idiot still alive? Kaneko. As far as I remember, it was controlled by the Alpha Code. But then, like in the original story, Cromulax would grab Zemric and then throw him in the air, and then Brutarax would shoot Zemric, sending him flying further away, leaving him completely messed up. Issei scared. To the mother. Xenovia. What happens when you try to negotiate with someone dangerous? Irina. Nah, he deserved it for being an idiot and stupid. Kaneko. I totally agree with you, Irina-senpai. Everyone broke out in an anime-style sweat, but then they saw Cromulax and his troops heading towards the portal. Vesuvius. Where the hell are they going? Elixion. Cromulax is no longer waiting for the dark matter wave. Rias. Will now use the dark zone to transport to the sentient capital city. Seraphle. Ossia Modulo 5. Agura. Means when the threshold opens. Issei surprised. General Karmakaris will be in the wrong place with his troops. Then Tez would explain that time moves differently and that way the boys would have time to warn Karmakaris and the rest of the sentients, so Zoom and Vesuvius would go, since they are the only ones who could arrive in time to warn everyone. While the others together with Vert's father would go towards the portal following Cromulax and his troops. Dark Zone. The Carmordials were advancing, but below them were Stanford and Tez joined with Rias and Kaneko, so the four launched their attacks, managing to destroy the path. And as in the original story, Agura would manage to save the Cortez brothers and then escape with AJ, and so they would all begin to fight against the Carmordials. But the Carmordials would be going to the portal. Issei. Everyone, listen, prevent the Carmordials from reaching the portal. So everyone starts fighting the Carmordials, preventing them from getting close to the portal. Until finally the cavalry had arrived because the sentient troops had arrived starting to shoot and Amobi would launch Zoom and Vesuvius, thus managing to save Vert and Issei. Zoom. It was amazing. At that Vesuvius would hug Issei tightly. Vesuvius. Glad I saved you in time. Issei. And I thank you, love. Vert. Wow, good thing that guy left. Xenovia Irina. Oige Ion. Then Xenovia and Irina would arrive, as well as Elixion. Issei. What's up? Elixion. There are a large number of Carmordials walking the free path to the portal. Vesuvius. That's bad. Vert. Zoom and Vesuvius returned to the others. Issei. And luck. So the two would leave. Vert. Elixion, we will do it. Issei. A new fusion. It'll be interesting to see, but I'm also going all in. On that. Issei had activated the balance breaker. Issei. Oh dear dragon. Dreg. I'm ready, buddy. Xenovia, we have to go all out Irina. Xenovia would say it while standing back to back with Irina. Irina. Well, it's more than obvious that I'm always ready, my friend. So Xenovia would summon the sword Durandal and also. Xenovia. Blue boosted gear. So Xenovia would summon her blue boosted gear. Do then Irina summon her sword Excalibur Mimic 4 later. Irina. Golden boosted gear. Thus Irina would summon her golden boosted gear. After that the others were already gathered and in that Vert and Elixion fused, thus creating the blast blade and beginning to shoot at the Carmordials. While Issei launched several dragon shoots and Xenovia and Irina did the same by launching dragon shoots and decapitating several Carmordials, thus managing to finish them all off. But before everyone left, Sherman and Spinner were still missing, who were being followed by Cromulax. At that the blast blade would defuse. Elixion. Take your team to the Crimson Portal, I will stop Cromulax. Vert. Understood. Issei. And good luck, old man. Then Agura would give the necklace that Cromulax had and that he had to the other Pentawarriors so they would all cross the portal. Vert. Carmacarus retrocedin. Carmacarus. Me quetter y defend election. Election. Thank you, General, but I won't be requiring your help. So finally the Pentawarriors had returned and so those who remained through the portal. Issei Xenovia Arena Vert. May the light overcome the darkness. So everyone would cross the portal and Jack Wheeler would close it so everyone would win. Issei. Yes, that's right. Xenovia Arena. We win EE. So everyone was happy because everything was over. Sage. I thank you Battle Force 5 and Clan Gremory again for your bravery, which helped defeat an ancient evil so we can live in peace. So everyone would applaud. Vert. And it was an honor to serve as leader of the Council of Five, but I'm going to retire. Issei. I say the same, it was an honor to work as leader of the Council of Five, but I am also going to retire. Xenovia Arena. We're also going to retire. Everyone was surprised by that. Vert. I want to spend some time with my family. Issei. And I want to spend time with my family and also with the rest of my loved ones. So Rias and Serafel and Kaneko and Rasuius would smile. Vert. And to replace us, we dominated Carmacarus as the new leader of the Council of Five. Sage. I support that idea. So everyone would support that idea. Carmacarus. I will be very honored Crimson. All. May the light overcome the darkness. Jack. How about we go with Zik to eat a good apple pie? Vert. I like that idea. Issei. Me too. We also have to celebrate the victory at the base. Xenovia Arena. We like that idea. So everyone goes to the portal returning to Earth. Later. Everyone was celebrating the victory at the base having fun and playing video games. Issei would just smile seeing all his friends having fun. Issei. You know Drake, Tony and the others would be missing here. Drake. Now that you mention it, it's true, mate, but surely where does Mrs. have them busy doing spy missions? Issei. You have a point. But Issei would be pulled by the girls. Issei. Girls, what's going on? Rias. You see Ice-kun, we wanted to tell you this since it's a surprise and now that there are no villains to face, it's time we told you. Serafel. But first, close your eyes. So Issei would close his eyes and then open them but would be surprised because the girls were showing him pregnancy tests. Issei surprised. Is that what I think it is? Rias Serafel Xenovia Arena Kaneko Rasuius, happy. Yes honey we are pregnant you are going to be a dad. Issei would just start crying and then hug all the girls. Issei crying. I am the happiest man in the whole world, you girls make me very happy. Rias Serafel Xenovia Arena Kaneko Rasuius. And you also make us happy Ice-kun senpai. So the rest of the team heard the news and congratulated them and the party continued while Drake thought about something. Drake's thoughts. Drake. I don't know why, but I have the feeling that Zemric is not dead and that he could become a stronger threat even more than Krytus or Trihexa or Shalba Beelzebub himself, I just hope he's not alive. Out of your thoughts. But unfortunately Drake's feeling was right. Berborian plain planet Sark. Zemric would be seen driving his Zelix car. Then he would enter the place where the green Sarks were and he would see Zug's body, putting a new energy cell in it, thus Zug would wake up. Zug. Lord Zemric. Zemric. Zug we have a lot of work to do. So both leaving the place and starting to head towards the city of Sark. Zemric. Hi Odo Issei and his clan and also Battle Force 5, I'm going to make them pay and sooner or later I'll come to Earth and make them pay. So Zemric and Zug would continue on their way. What happens next? Find out in the next chapter. If the new ending of this story. New ending for this story. Chasing Legacy, the song from Fast and Furious. Spies on the run. Singers. Shallon Becton and Thaville. Well people of Wapped I hope you like this chapter and now we go with the events of the chapters of the last season of Fast and Furious Spies at the Wheel and also here's Zemric and Zug will be included since it will be the final battle against Zemric to finish it once and for all, but well without more to say I say goodbye, take care of yourselves and remember that I love you very much people of Wapped I say goodbye and until next time bye ease. Post-credit scene. You could see a silver-haired woman wearing a strange black robot-like suit and there were also a bunch of helmeted soldiers. Unknown woman. What do you have? Man. We put these two girls in the capsules you use. So the woman would see two girls who were unconscious. The woman would just smile. Unknown woman. Activate the machines because it wouldn't hurt to have more like me. Man. Understood, activating the machines. So the machines were activated and started doing something to the two girls inside the machines. Unknown woman. Sooner or later the day of incineration will come and then we will get the most dangerous weapons and by the way they have me with that strange robot. Man. We are already reconstructing it, and apparently its memory contains very interesting memories, and we have also been analyzing the strange key. And that the woman would see a battle key. Unknown woman. When we fix that robot we will go to that place called Planet Sark where that robot comes from. Chapter 10. Day of the Incineration, the Return of the Sarks. Issei narrates. 9 months have passed after what happened with Cromulax and the Carmordials, and since then there has been no other threat, and also since then I dedicated myself to taking care of the girls during pregnancy, until finally the babies were born, and yes I had 6 girls, and the truth is that I am very happy, and so are the girls, although during those months I saw Drake very distracted, it's as if something had him like that, but I don't know what it is, but I don't know why I have the feeling that someone that we already faced the whole team is still alive. Normal narration. Hit the new intro. North Pole. The spies can be seen at the wheel stopping some missiles, but they were not alone, as they were accompanied by Skipper, Kowalski, Rico, and Cabo. Skipper. Alright guys, let's give our friends a lift. Kowalski, Rico, Cabo. At your service, Skipper. So the 4 jumped out of the plane and began to fight the soldiers, managing to eliminate them. So then, as in the original story, the boys had managed to stop the missiles, and also the 6th missile. Skipper. We did it guys, mission accomplished. This is how the penguins would clap their flippers together. Minutes later. The spies can be seen driving the spy truck and then, like in the original story, Gary and Julius explain about the day of the cremation. Skipper. Who doesn't like to explore things, right guys? Rico would just talk in his usual way. Echo. Hey, don't get me wrong, I like destruction parties, but isn't it dangerous to have such dangerous weapons in one place? Madam Ware. You don't have to worry, absolutely no one will be able to get in there. But like in the original story, they would manage to steal all the technology for the day of the incineration, so the spies at the wheel would go together with the penguins. As they followed the trucks, Gary told them about each device in the inventory. But in the distance were none other than Zemric and Zug. Zug. Lord Zemric, there are organics following the trucks, but they are not Battle Force 5 or the Gremory clan. Zemric. It doesn't matter, no organic is supposed to interfere with this mission, so now Sark, attack the organics and yourselves too. Zemric would say it while looking at some strange subjects. Back with the spies at the wheel. The boys managed to get on the trucks, but Tony would be hit by a mood swing bomb as he was falling but being caught by Frosty. Frosty. Are you okay T? Tony. Yes, I'm fine. Skipper. Looks like you got hit by one of those mood-altering bombs. On that. Pape frightened. Enemy Skipper at 12. So everyone would be hit by Sark vehicles surprising Tony and Frosty. Tony surprised. What were those robots supposed to be? Terminators. Frosty. No idea but look up. So Tony would see nothing more and nothing less than. Tony surprised. Demons and fallen angels. But what? The only demons in this world are supposed to be Issei and the girls, but there are no fallen angels, and how come there are more demons? Frosty. I don't know, but they're heading for the trucks. So after a while the reinforcements would arrive. Echo. Looks like my reinforcements have arrived. Unknown girl. Well, we'll have to finish them all off. He would say it while demon wings emerged from his back. Echo, surprised. You are a demon. Unknown girl. What are you eating? What can you guess? The trucks then managed to escape, being followed by the Sarks, demons, and fallen angels. Lady, where? Well, it seems like we'll have to save the world, but I think we'll need help. She would say it while from her bag where she took out the flyer with the magic circle of the Gremory clan. Meanwhile with our protagonists. Battle Force 5 can be seen racing on the base's track while Issei and the girls watched and the girls were carrying the babies. Rias. Boy, they never tire of racing. Serafel. You have a point Rias-chan, but they want to improve no matter what happened. But Issei was talking to Drake mentally. Issei's thoughts. Issei. So Drake says you were distracted because you think Zemric might be alive. Drake. Exactly, mate, and I have a bad feeling that Zemric could become a bigger threat to us, so I recommend you stay alert. Issei. I'll keep that in mind. Out of your thoughts. But in that Sage would call everyone like that, everyone going inside the base. Bert. Dien Sage, what is the emergency? Sage. You see, I received a message with a strange symbol. So Sage would show the symbol that was the symbol of the Gremory clan. Issei surprised. It is the symbol of the Gremory clan. Agura. Do you mean that one of you sent the message? Rias. Not exactly, since I don't know if you remember, but when Issei and the girls were away from you and when they found me we told you that we met some new friends, right? Spinner. Yes, it's true, you told us about some spies behind the wheel. Zoom. But what exactly do they have to do with the message? Kaneko. Well, long before returning to the base, we left them a flyer with the Gremory clan's magic circle so they could send us a message in case they needed us again. Vesuvius. And they probably need us now. Xenovia. Sage plays the message. This is how Sage would reproduce the message. Onya, where? Hello Issei and girls, listen carefully. I don't know if this message reaches you, but I hope it does. You see, it turns out that some strange guys stole some very dangerous technology, but the strange thing is that they are accompanied by demons and fallen angels that you told us about when we met, and they are also accompanied by light blue robots, and apparently they are hostile because they almost killed us, so if this message reaches you, we need you. So the message would end up leaving everyone surprised. Issei surprised. Did he say demons and fallen angels? Bert surprised. And he also said light blue robots and they are hostile. Everyone surprised. The Sarks. Sage. But it's not possible Zemric is dead and there's no way the Sark will reach Earth. Greg. Maybe Sage isn't dead since I've had a feeling for a while now that Zemric was still alive. Serafel. And also if there are Sarks it is possible that Zemric is still alive. Badge. And what can we do? Bert. Battle Force 5 looks like we'll have to get back into action, but this time we'll have more help. Issei. Sage, we need a battle key to get to the location Tony and the others gave us. Sage. Don't worry, I'm programming the battle key. So everyone would get ready so the girls could then leave their babies with Sage so she could take care of them. So everyone would get on the Moby and with the battle key, they would cross the portal arriving at the place where the mountain is where Dudley is hiding. Minutes later. The boys continued looking for a signal from the spies at the wheel, but they couldn't because there was a huge blizzard and storms. Issei. I can't see anything. Xenovia Arena. How are we supposed to find the boys if we don't see anything? But to top it all off, several Sarks were heading towards them, but they managed to resist the attacks of Issei and the girls, as well as the attacks of Battle Force 5. While like in the original story Echo and Layla met the unknown woman and her two allies who were unknown girls, but then Echo and Layla managed to escape from the subjects. And also, where had Miss been able to stop Cleve Kelso's mini weather machine, so everything would return to normal. On the other hand, our protagonists managed to destroy the Sarks, although with some difficulty. Vesuvius. How is it possible that the Sarks could resist our attacks if they couldn't do so before? Serafel. No idea, but we'll find out later. Minutes later. Everyone including Battle Force 5 had already gathered at Dudley's cabin. Issei. Long time no see Tony. Tony. I say the same to you Issei, it's good that you help us. Rias. Now we want an explanation, why the hell would the agency have such dangerous weapons in a vault? Lady, where? Long story. Serafel. And also why would the agency allow something like that cremation day? Barry. Well, it's a special celebration at the agency. Julius. I don't see the harm in that. Kaneko. It can't be possible, it seems that you two are still the same as always. Bert. And do you have any idea why those people who stole those weapons have the support of Sarks, demons, and fallen angels? Echo. We have no idea. Layla. But the ghost women we had imprisoned knew every detail about us and about the missions, highly secret things. Echo. Not to mention that they know you perfectly Issei even the girls in Battle Force 5. Des. Interesting, meaning Drake's feeling could be true and Zemric is here on Earth and alive. Prosti. According to what we were told about him, he is a cruel and ruthless robotic dictator. Spinner. If you got it exactly right. Sherman. But we still don't know how to find out if Zemric is behind this. Agura. What is behind that there are demons and fallen angels with those subjects? Echo. In fact, one of those girls had demon wings like yours. I would say it while looking at Issei and the girls. Issei. Interesting but it's not possible, we are the only surviving demons in our world. Echo. Also, both Layla and I try to feel their presence. Layla. But we couldn't. Rias. I guess they still don't know how to sense the presence of supernatural beings like us. Layla. Your workouts were too hard, what did you expect? Badge. The point here is to find out how those people got hold of the dangerous weapons. Stanford. And also why they are allied with the Sarks and also why there are demons and fallen angels. Zoom. And also find out if Zemric is 100% alive and if he is here on Earth. Cisco. I have a question, how are we supposed to help fight those robots if our vehicles aren't like the ones you have? Vesuvius. Don't worry about that. You can come to our base and Sage will give you upgrades to your vehicles and also to the spy truck. Arena. Although the first thing is to find out why they wanted to make them believe that Dudley was responsible. But in that, where would I receive a call and then hang up? Xenovia. Something's wrong, ma'am, where? This is? Where? Maybe Dudley isn't the culprit since it's just been reported that a criminal is using the very weapons we're looking for to wreak havoc on the Autobahn. Tony. Excellent, I mean not the fact of causing havoc. Issei. Did they say who it was? This is where. Is Rafaela. Everyone surprised. Wow. Xenovia Arena. I can't see we have such bad luck, why did it have to be her? And that Sage would communicate with Vert. Vert. Sage, what's happening? Sage. Vert, I need you to return to base and bring the spies to the wheel. Vert. Okay guys, we better get back to base. Issei. Hey Tony, where are Skipper, Kowalski, Rico and Cabo? Tony. For now, they're busy and recovering, since things didn't go too well for them when we came across those Sarks. Later. Everyone had arrived at the base and was surprised. Tony surprised. This place is luxurious. And that the girls would carry the babies. Echo. Hey, what about those babies? Rias. Oh, they are our daughters, haha. Where do you think they are? So you could say that they are now 15-year-olds, ha 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 ha. And Echo. Ha ha ha, very funny lady, where? Layla. Oh, how adorable, what are their names? Rias. Haha, this is little Ruby. Rias would say it while showing little Ruby. Xenovia. This is the little Mako. Xenovia would say it while showing the little Mako. Irina. This is little Artoria. Irina would say it while showing little Artoria. Seraphil. There is the little Violet. Seraph would say as she showed the little Violet. Vesuvius. This is the little Iris. Vesuvius would say this while showing the little Iris. Kaneko. And this is little Sheena. Kaneko would say it while showing little Sheena. Layla. They are all very adorable. Echo. I'm not one to say this, but I admit they are adorable. Then everyone would gather together. Sage. Good. Listen carefully. I know you are strong spies behind the wheel, so I made some modifications to your weapons and the resistance of your vehicles so that you can help face the Sarks. And well, Issei and girls, this is something you will need because the Sarks can now resist your attacks, so I took the liberty of creating this for you. From about 3 elevators you would see silhouettes like this, with everyone looking impressed at 3 cars of the same style. Sage. Issei este auto es parti. This is how Issei would see the car surprised. Issei surprised. Amazing, that means I'll now be using a car, how incredible. Sage. And not only that, this car is designed to adapt to all your powers and also has weapons that you possess, and what do you think? Issei would just smile and give a thumbs up. Issei. It's amazing, thank you very much Sage. Greg. Buddy, this will really come in handy for the mission we're about to face. Sage. And now you Xenovia and Irina, these are your vehicles. She would say it while both of them were looking at each other's car. Xenovia's car up here. Xenovia would be surprised to see if her car was the same style as Issei's. But she wasn't the only one, as Irina was also surprised to see that her car is the same style as Issei and Xenovia's. Irina, surprised. My car is great, but one question, I'm curious why the style is the same as Ice Kun's. Xenovia. I actually wanted to ask the same thing too. Sage. Since you are the Crimson Sekiryuutei and the Crimson Warriors, I decided to give you the same car style, a name is not necessary, but if you want it is fine. Issei. Well, the truth is that's fine by me. Xenovia Irina. Same with us. Sage. And well for you girls I decided to give you a better option and you will be motorcyclists. Rias Serafil Rasuius Kaneko surprised. Motorcyclists. At that point, 4 motorcycles would be shown to the rest of the girls. Moto de Rias. Moto de Kaneko. This is obviously the case. Serafil's motorcycle next. And finally, Moto de Rasuius is the next and last one. Author's note. Las Suarez, I thank you for giving me this idea that Issei and the girls would have their own cars, and I thought about it, and finally I decided that they would have their own cars, end of note. Rias Serafil Rasuius Kaneko surprised. How amazing. Sage. Just like with Issei, Xenovia and Irina, there's no need for a name for the vehicles because they're linked to their powers, and now you'll be able to fight the Sarks in a better way. So Issei and the girls smiled while the rest of the team would also smile. Issei. Okay team, we have a mission and we are going to fulfill it. Everyone. See. Sage. I have some advice for you. Before you go to Germany, you'd better start practicing driving and make the most of your time. Issei. On orders, boss. Sage. And girls, don't worry while you're on the mission, I'll take care of your daughters. Xenovia Irina Rias Serafil Rasuius Kaneko. Thank you very much, Sage. Thus Issei and the girls would begin their training, learning how to drive their new vehicles and learn some of the weapons that each vehicle had. And now it was time to head to Germany to arrest Rafaela. What happens next? Find out in the next chapter. Chapter 11. Issei's cars and the girls in action, deceptive ghost. Previously, our protagonists had to return to action because the Sarks had returned and were now more resistant to our protagonist's attacks. But now Issei and the girls have cars and motorcycles that will help them in this battle. Now Issei and the girls, along with Battle Force 5 and the spies at the wheel, are ready to go and stop Rafaela. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the new intro. Our protagonists joined Battle Force 5 who were driving the Mobi along with the spies at the wheel, were following Rafaela who was causing disasters, and their goal was to reach Berlin. Issei. Woo-oh super woo-oh, it feels amazing to drive. Xenovia arena. We say the same. Rias Sarafal Rasuius Kaneko. Same as us. Tony. Listen everyone, our goal is to stop Rafaela and prevent her from reaching Berlin and starting to cause disasters. Issei. And let's not forget that he has dangerous weapons. Rias. Okay then let's fly. Thus the motorcycles of Rias, Sarafal, Rasuius and Kaneko would begin to fly in the same style as the chopper. Kaneko. This is amazing. Sarafal. I tripled it with an incredible ultra. So the boys would start following Rafaela, but like in the original story she would steal Cisco's truck and thus disappear. Rias. The bitch escaped from our hands. Then, like in the original story, the boys would go to the prison where Rafaela escaped from, thus learning how she escaped. Issei. If there were many Rafaelas it means that he did the typical Naruto multi-shadow clone jutsu ha. Kaneko. I understood that I-senpai reference, but I highly doubt Rafaela has such crazy abilities like that. Issei. Good point. Rias. Another theory could be that she controlled everyone in the prison so that they would let her free. Sarafal. He didn't create it, since everyone here remembers what happened, and if they had been controlled they wouldn't remember anything. Rasuius. That makes sense to me. Xenovia. Does that mean we have no clue? Arena. Definitely not. Minutes later. Bert. And how did it go? Issei. We can't find a clue. Rias. We'll have to wait for it to be revealed. On that. Where are you going? What's Rafaela doing in the city? And are there celestial robots there? So, where would I hang up the call? Lady, where? It seems that it was revealed and there are also Sarks in the city. Issei. Then let's go. So everyone would get into their cars, even Battle Force 5. Minutes later. The boys would arrive in the city seeing Rafaela with a new style. Issei. And what is that, mother? Barry. Looks like Rafaela found the power suit. Everyone confused. Power suit. So everyone would be in front of Rafaela. Rias. Hey Rafaela and that new style. Rafaela. They like it, and now that you're all here I'll finally have my revenge on you. So Rafaela would throw a supersonic scream at them, but the boys would dodge it in time. Kaneko. Curious question, why was that thing on the list for the cremation day? Where did she go? It looked horrible on me. Xenovia. And how do we stop the suit? Barry. If the person wearing the suit loses all power, the person becomes completely vulnerable. Arena. We understand. Issei. Team, you take care of Rafaela, we'll take care of the Red Sarks. Greg. Wait, what did you say, mate? Issei. Well, I said we'll take care of them. But everyone would see red and blue Sarks approaching, pleasantly surprising everyone. Bert is surprised. How is it possible there are red Sarks? Krytus is supposed to be dead in exile. Issei. As you said, once they are red, blue, purple, dotted, or green, we have to destroy them. So Issei would activate 2 dragon blasters that his car had. Issei. Dragon blaster. Thus the car shot off, managing to destroy some Sarks. Rias. Spheres of destruction. So you would start shooting spheres of destruction from your motorcycle with your wheels. Kaneko. Anilo's Desenjutsu. Thus Kaneko shot out 2 rings of blue fire with the front wheels of her motorcycle. While Sarafal with his motorcycle would begin to shoot ice beams, managing to freeze and destroy the Sarks. While Rasuius with his motorcycle would begin to fire several energy attacks invoking several magic circles. Issei. You close crimson. Thus 2 blades would appear, starting to cut the Sarks and also firing crimson energy. On the other hand, Xenovia and Arena, using the abilities of their vehicles, managed to destroy the Sarks. Xenovia launched several dragon shoots and also cut with her Durandal sword, which was attached to her car. On Arena's side, she shot rings of light and darkness and also cut the Sarks with her Mimic Excalibur sword. But then more Sarks were arriving. Issei. Arena, we have to try to merge. Arena. Understood, dear. Issei. Gendando Fuser. So Issei would fire the fuser and he and Arena would enter the fusion tornado. Issei. United. Arena. Enter the attack Yei. Thus, from the whirlwind, the fusion of Issei and Arena's cars, the dragon mimic slash, would emerge. Issei. This is incredible. Arena. I know, the dragon mimic slashes ah. Issei. I like the name. Thus both began to fire bursts of crimson energy and also rings of light and darkness, managing to destroy the Sarks. But in that they would be caught by Rafaela. Rafaela. I already have them. So Rafaela would throw them into the air. Issei. We must fly. But then they would hear the noise that the merger was ending. Arena. It's a Juuad. So the dragon mimic slash would unmerge and the two cars would fall on a roof. But then, like in the original story, Tony managed to stop Rafaela and the kids also managed to destroy the red and blue Sarks. Later, the kids discovered that someone had tricked Rafaela and that she didn't even know who had sent her that briefcase full of stolen technology. Issei. This is getting stranger and stranger. First they trick us into going after Dudley and now they're tricking us again. Every time this is confusing. Greg. And we don't even know who's behind the return of the Sarks. Echo. Question. What do we do with Rafaela now? Rias. I think I know what to do with her. So you laughed and the girls took Rafaela away. Issei. I just hope they don't kill her and don't go too far. Greg. Oh come on mate, you think they would do it? Everyone would look with faces that implied what Drake said. Greg. Well yes they possibly do. The next day. The boys were on the road in Issei and the girls would communicate with Sage. Rias. So the babies are okay? Sage. Don't worry, you'll be safe here with me, but tell me what happened. Issei. It boils down to the fact that apart from Zemric Sarks, there were also red Sarks, which is impossible since Krytus is in exile and dead. Sage. It's really confusing, but try to figure out who's behind this. Thus the communication would end, but not before the girls said goodbye to the babies. Issei. Very well, we have to find out what is happening and why there are red Sarks. Rias. Well that's the difficult part. Then, like in the original story, the kids discovered that Frosty's family was in danger, so they all went to help, thus managing to save Sissy and Frosty's mothers, but now the problem was that the strange people had appeared. So everyone faced the demons and fallen angels, discovering that they were robots. Issei sorprendido. Sun robots. Rias. We have to destroy them then. So everyone would continue to destroy the robots and also the red and blue Sarks, and as in the original story Echo was going to be kidnapped by the unknown woman and her ally, but would be saved by Cisco and Spinner. Spinner. Cory Echo. Thus the Echo would fall on top of the spy truck. But unfortunately Spinner and Cisco would be kidnapped. Issei surprised. They took Spinner. Sherman would feel sad seeing his brother kidnapped and unable to do anything. And the spies behind the wheel would also be sad to see Cisco kidnapped. What will happen now? Will the kids be able to save Cisco and Spinner? Find out in the next episode. Chapter 12. The most revealing discovery, the spies are fired. Previously, our protagonists managed to stop Rafaela and the red and blue Sarks, but unfortunately, while saving Frosty's family, the strange individuals managed to capture not only Cisco but also Spinner, and now our protagonists must save them. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the new intro. The boys were thinking of a plan to save Cisco and Spinner. Sherman. We must save my brother and now. Issei. We understand your concern Sherman, but we must think of a plan since those guys possibly have a lot of red and blue Sarks on their side. Rias. We also don't know where those guys' base is. Xenovia. Well, good news, it seems the strangers are willing to make an exchange. Arena. And that. I don't believe that facade at all. It's probably a trap or an ambush. Issei. Maybe but we have no choice, but I have a plan just in case. As in the original story, Echo would tell the others that going there was a trap, but since the team was desperate to save Cisco and their jobs, they didn't listen to him. Later. You can see everyone on their way to the North Pole because they had a plan in case it was a hoax. And indeed, after having freed the prisoners, all the soldiers were about to attack them, but the boys managed to trap them. Issei. Now that's what I call being fooled ha 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 ha. Rias. What do you feel like bastards huh? In that, where would I get an indestructible tank, but it would be destroyed by the leaders of all this. Unknown woman. Another of your inventions has failed, I don't care where. Lady, where? Who the hell are you? Unknown woman. Don't you remember me? We used to work together. My name is Rena. Lady, where? Are you like a nerd who went over to the dark side? Kaneko. Something like Star Wars. Rena. You could say yes. But then, as in the original story, Echo had saved the boys, starting the battle, so now there were red and blue Sarks, as well as demons and fallen angel robots, all starting to fight against our protagonists. Issei. Now we have to find a way to get into the base. Xenovia. But for now let's keep fighting. Arena. I support that idea. So everyone would continue fighting and shooting, seeking to destroy the red and blue Sarks and the demons and fallen angel robots. Until, like in the original story, Gary and Julius tried to break through the base with the spy truck, which didn't work so well, to say the least. Kaneko. Does anyone have an emergency plan? Rias. If I have to go over it. So everyone entered the base from above, managing to enter and free Cisco and Spinner. Spinner. Thanks for saving me guys. Issei. You're welcome, friend. Spinner. But I have bad news. Drake's feeling was true, because Emmerich is alive and is accompanied by Zug. He was the one who modified his Sarks to be red and continue following his orders. Issei and the girls were surprised to hear that. Drake. So my feeling was right. Then, like in the original story Mrs. Where would she manage to deactivate the bomb, but in that? Rena. Thank you very much for the master code where. So everyone would turn around seeing Rena accompanied by Zemric. Zemric. Long time no see organic. Issei surprised. Angry. Xenovia Rena Rias Serafel Rasuius Kaneko, surprised. It's impossible, you were supposed to have died at the hands of Cromulax. And that they would all be waxed. Zemric. I was supposed to have died, but I survived and then traveled to the planet Sark to recover Zug and also to begin working on rebuilding my empire. Rena. But he didn't do it, I just helped him because a while ago I found the body of a Sark, so I rebuilt it, and with a battle key, I was able to travel to the planet Sark, and I met Zemric. So Rena would take off her helmet and the other two girls would do the same. But when they saw who Issei and the girls were, they were pleasantly surprised. Issei surprised. It can't be. Xenovia Arena. But how is it possible if you didn't survive the explosion? Rias Rasuius. This can't be. Kaneko sorprendida. Kuroka Ani-san. The first unknown girl is actually Kuroka Kaneko's older sister. Author's note. Revelation to come XD end of note. Well, the other girl was none other than Serafel sorprendida. Su Tan. The other girl is none other than Sona Citri, Serafel's younger sister. Sona. Why are you looking at me surprised Mau Leviathan? Serafel. Su Tan, I am your older sister that you don't remember me. Sona. I don't know you and I've never had an older sister, I only know that you are the Mau Leviathan. Serafel would be surprised by that. Kaneko. Kuroka Ni-san, I'm your younger sister who doesn't remember me, you don't remember me either. Kuroka. I don't know you and like Sona I've never had a younger sister and you are the enemy. Issei would just be shocked by what was going on. Issei. What's going on? How is it possible they don't remember us? Rena. It's useless, they will never remember them because they lost all their memories thanks to me, I improved them, I made them stronger, and they are the ones who will help me. Zemric. Normally I would have finished you organics by now, but it's not yet time for my revenge. Sona. Now you will be seen as the cause of all this chaos where. Kuroka. You and your agency will fall and consider this as the last day of the incineration that will exist. So Rena would activate the bomb, and then she, along with Zemric and Zug, and also Sona and Kuroka, would leave. Kaneko sad. How is it possible that Ni-san doesn't remember me? Sad Serafel. Su Tan doesn't remember me either. Greg. Surely they lost their memories before that fight erased them, but I don't believe that because I think I can make them remember who we are. Issei. Are you serious, Drake? Greg. I mean it, mate. Then, like in the original story, the kids managed to escape, but they realized that to destroy the ice cap, Rena activated the laser whale, which the kids would now have to stop while they looked for a way to prevent everything from melting. While Tony, as in the original story, would go after Rena, managing to make the plane crash. Then everyone would finally be reunited. Issei. I had no luck finding Sona and Kuroka. Rias. We'll find them. But Rena, Sona, and Kuroka would start attacking them all fighting, but the three of them were superior to everyone. Kaneko. Don't make me do this to you, Kuroka Ni-san. Kuroka. I already told you I don't know you. Thus both sisters would continue fighting just like Sona and Serafel. But then everyone would manage to surround Rena, Sona, and Kuroka who were unconscious. Rena. Go to Toretto's house because you will see the last day of the angels because everything will be destroyed and they will not be able to avoid it. So Rena would hit the mountain of ice and snow and be buried together with Sona and Kuroka. Later. How in the original story, where Donu would tell about the XJ1 who turns out to be Rena, a cyborg with great intelligence and strength. Tony. She told me she would destroy Los Angeles and also this Zemric guy is still on the loose, which means he's a big threat. Lady, where? Don't be ridiculous, Rena is already dead and because of this Zemric guy, I don't think he'll attack us, so this team is still invincible. But like in the original story the team would be fired. Meanwhile. Issei and the girls and the rest of the team were recovering because now they had another objective. to recover Sona and Kuroka and bring them back. What happens next? Find out in the next chapter. Chapter 13. The Return of the Spies, Earthquake Unleashed Part 1. Previously, our protagonists discovered that Zemric is alive, but Sona and Kuroka are also alive, but they don't remember our protagonists. However, after having prevented the melting of the ice cap, the spies at the wheel would be dismissed. Meanwhile, Issei and the girls, along with Battle Force 5, were preparing because now they have a duty to perform. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the new intro. Now you can see the City of Angels, and on the streets you can see Issei and the girls driving together with Battle Force 5 because they needed the spies at the wheel for this mission. Until they finally found them. Issei. Guys, good thing we found you. Rias. We need your help guys since we need to stop Rina apart from Zemric. Echo. Well, we can help you, but first come with us since now Rina is looking for something important and Frosty and June are trying to find out what it is. Kaneko. Who is June? Layla. Someone who was on Shashi's team. Serafel. Oh okay, but where will we go? Minutes later. The boys had arrived at Shashi's old house. Zoom. What a nice house. Sherman. Looks amazing. Issei. Nice to see you Palindrome again. Palindrome. I say the same Issei, long time no see and I see you brought more help. Issei. Yep, they are our friends Battle Force 5. But in that case, no one else or less than would come out of the house. Everyone surprised. Cleve Kelso. Cleve Kelso. Well, it looks like they're in big trouble, thank goodness old Cleve is still here to help. So everyone would enter the house. Issei. Okay, answer, you miserable man, how are you alive? You literally fell off a rocket in the Sahara and I also used a powerful dragon shoot to kill you. Rias. That's true and I threw a sphere of destruction at you, it's not possible that you survived that. Cleve Kelso. Yes, I admit that it hurt, but luckily that robotic suit was able to withstand those attacks and some peasants cured me and I truly owe them my life. But Cleve Kelso would remain the same as always. Xenovia. Metaphorically speaking, are you still the same idiot we faced in the Sahara? I would say it while drinking juice and Arena eating a cookie. Arena. Well, asking Cleve Kelso to change is like asking Krytos to change, which is impossible. Kaneko. Good point. Then the boys would meet June and everyone would introduce themselves. June. Interesting to meet people like you. Issei. There's something that's not clear to us, like why the hell are you helping us? Des. Metaphorically speaking you tried to kill the boys once, how is it possible we can trust someone like you? Cleve Kelso. Boy, I can't let my hometown be manipulated by crazy robots, especially if I didn't control them. Then, like in the original story, Tony and Echo would talk the same thing about the original story. Cleve Kelso then said that the machine they were analyzing was possibly an earthquake generator and that with it you could create the San Andreas fault. Adge. Does that mean everything would collapse? Cleve Kelso. That's what I said. Des. Analyze what Cleve said and he has a point about oil, it could create the San Andreas fault. Issei. Like in the movie about the earthquake rocked the San Andreas fault. Serafel. I think it would be something different than something seen in a movie. Rias. But why would Rina, Sona and Kuroka want to do that? Vesuvius. I have no idea, but I'm sure Zemric has to be involved in one thing. Agura. Vesuvius is right, Zemric is working with Rina and Sona and Kuroka might be planning something more dangerous. But when the device was activated, everything would start to shake and so everyone would come out while Rina entered, managing to grab the device and then everything would finally fall into the sea. Cleve Kelso angry. My fish guts, that damn cyborg ruined my new business. Greg. No way, Cleve, that's life. Spinner. You think he's dead? Xenovia. Yes, she survived the North Pole together with Sona and Kuroka. Arena. I don't think it's possible. But everyone would see that Rina and Zemric's plan was for all of Southern California to slide into the sea or burn completely. The next day. How in the original story to stop Rina's plan the boys would recruit more help like Matsuo, Nacho and Raleigh, and also Mitch. Afterwards, everyone would be ready to execute the plan and thus the battle against Rina and Zemric's army, Sona and Kuroka would begin. Everyone faced the enemies while they searched for Rina since she was the main objective. But Rina would get close to the drill because Rina had gone underwater, but in that Issei would get in front of Rina. Issei. I'm not going to let you get to the drill. So both would start to fight, but Rina would be winning over Issei. But then, like in the original story, thanks to Matsuo, the boys managed to stop Rina's plan. Issei. Ves Matsuo putist control 2 Poter. Kaneko. You shouldn't be afraid of your own power, I went through that too. Matsuo. And I really appreciate you guys helping me. Issei Kaneko. It was nothing after all, that's what friends are for. Matsuo, and thanks to you too Tony. Tony. It was nothing, now we can go home. The next day. The boys would attend the premiere of Limo 3 the movie, so everyone would meet Tony's uncle, Dominguez Toretto, so everyone would come to see the premiere. Meanwhile, Echo joined Donya Dond and Gary, and Julius would take Rina to the warehouse, but as in the original story Rina would free herself, in addition to freeing other super soldiers, and grabbing some explosives, and then leaving together with Zemric and Zug, and also Sona and Kuroka. Back with the boys. Issei joined with Xenovia and Irina, and also Tony and Layla would have a race. Issei. Ready to lose Tony Toretto? Tony. We'll see about that, Issei Hyodo. Layla. Well, 15-year-olds, I hope you don't hold back. Xenovia Irina. Ha 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 very funny Layla. But before the race started the five heard Gary's voice. Gary. Do you guys copy me? Issei. Gary. What's happening now? Gary. There's good news and bad news. The bad news is that Rina is alive and is going to Los Angeles with two super soldiers accompanied by Zemric and that Zug guy, his right-hand man, and also Sona and Kuroka. Tony surprised. Wait is there more than one? Issei. And they are accompanied by Zemric and Zug and also Sona and Kuroka. Gary. Yes, but the good news is that we can track them through their high-intensity explosives. Issei Tony. They have bombs. So through their trackers they would see that they were close. Xenovia. Ice-kun we have to take Mako and Artoria with Sage and the other babies, this will be dangerous. Issei. Irina, contact Sage and tell him that they need a battle key to go to the base and then return while I, along with Tony and Layla, will go stop them and in the process I will contact the others and the rest of the team. So everyone divided. While Tony tried to communicate with Cisco and Frosty, Issei would try to communicate with the girls in Battle Force 5, but no one responded because everyone was focused on watching the movie. But then they both managed to find the truck with the devices. Meanwhile. Xenovia. Take care of them, Sage, please. Sage. Don't worry, they and the other babies will be safe, but be careful, I feel that Zemric will make a final move to destroy them all. Irina. We'll keep that in mind. So they both got into their cars and then returned to Los Angeles. Back with Issei and Tony and Layla. They continued to chase the super soldiers. Lady, where? Toretto, what's going on? Issei. We're following Rina and where the hell are you guys? Where are you going? We're in a helicopter. It'll take a while to get there, but for now, don't lose sight of Rina. Tony. Understood. Issei. How strange, Sona and Kuroka aren't there, nor are Zemric and Zug. Where the hell are they? Layla. Concentrate, Hyodo. We mustn't lose sight of Rina. So the boys would manage to overturn the truck, so the super soldiers would split up and Issei and Tony would go after Rina to the subway, thus following her on the train. Sona. See you again, Crimson Sekiryuutei. Kuroka. You're very irritating, you know that. Issei. I'm not going to stop until you come back with us and also come back to my side. So Issei would start fighting against Sona and Kuroka while Tony fought against Rina, so the battle would continue up to the top of the subway, so Issei would put up a good fight. As in the original story, Echo would discover that Rina was doing her old plan again, since they had already planted an explosive. Lady, where? Toretto, Hyodo they have to stop that train, it's heading straight to Hollywood. Issei. I'll try to stop him. So Issei would activate his balance breaker entering the Welsh Dragona crook starting to stop the train, but with a single kick, Rina would destroy the balance breaker pleasantly surprising Issei, because he didn't believe that Rina had that strength. Rina. I won't allow you to do that, Crimson Sekiryuutei, you won't be able to stop our plan. But in that Layla would manage to stop the train, but unfortunately Rina and Sona and Kuroka activated the explosive. Rina Sona Kuroka. Welcome to the last day in Los Angeles Toretto and Crimson Sekiryuutei ha 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 ha. Issei. Running. So the kids would run and manage to escape from the subway, but the explosive would explode, causing everything to shake, even in the cinema. Rias. What the hell is going on? Kaneko. It's an earthquake. Bert. We have to get people out of here fast. So everyone would start to get people out and also running for their lives, and then everyone would gather together, including Xenovia and Irina who had brought the Mobi. Des. What exactly is going on? Issei. It is summarized in what Rina reactivated together with other super soldiers. Spinner. Are there more of them? Tony. Specifically there are 2 super soldiers running with explosives we have to stop them. So everyone would enlist, but the problem is that red and blue Sarks were approaching, so everyone would split up to win this battle. What will happen now? Will the boys be able to avoid the rift? Will Issei be able to bring Sona and Kuroka back? Find out in the next chapter. Chapter 14. Earthquake Unleashed Part 2, Sark Chaos begins. Previously, our protagonists managed to meet up with the spies at the wheel, but the problem is that after stopping Rina's plan, she's now looking to remake it. And she's not alone, as there are now other super soldiers. To top it off, the gang must face the red and blue Sarks, in addition to the goal of recovering Sona and Kuroko. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the new intro. Issei joined with Xenovia and Irina, and also Tony and Layla were following the other super soldier who had the bomb, since the plan was to take the bombs from the super soldiers and guide them to Frosty so that he could launch an EMP at the super soldiers, thus changing their programming. Issei. By the way, has anyone seen Sona and Kuroko? Rias? Not at the moment. Issei. We have to attract them to us too, this is the last chance to make them come back. Greg. You're right, partner, so Mao Leviathan and Nekomata have to take them to us so that we can enter their minds and make them remember us. Kaneko Serafel. We will not fail, we will bring our sisters back. Xenovia. Battle Force 5 and girls, how are things going with the Sarks? Vesuvius. We are having few complications, but we are managing to destroy them. Bert. The problem is that we can't find Zemric. Irina. What about Zug? Rias. I already found it and I'm following it. Des. But there are also a lot of Sarks throughout the city, so Sherman and Spinner and Aj are in charge of getting all the civilians out of the city because we don't know if Frosty's plan will work. Zoom. This could be considered. All. A Sark chaos. Issei. Everyone destroy all the Sarks in the entire city while we search for the explosives and guide the super soldiers to the field where Frosty will release the EMP. All. Understood. So everyone would continue with their respective mission. On the side of Issei and Xenovia and Irina, these together with Tony and Layla, found the super soldier with the bomb. Issei, I imagine you have a plan, Tony. Because I don't have one. Tony. It's simple, we just need to take away the explosive so he follows us, so I'll use the invisibility cloak so he won't realize we attacked him. Issei. No way, dude, are you planning on doing the Harry Potter thing using the invisibility cloak? Xenovia. In the movies, the invisibility cloak is supposed to be one of the 3 Deathly Hallows, which makes Harry Potter the most powerful wizard in the entire magical world. Issei. And that I came to think that the Deathly Hallows were Horcruxes that made Voldemort immortal. Greg. You always thought that, mate. Xenovia. But back to the topic, Tony will do the Harry Potter thing using the invisibility cloak. All that's missing is for him to have the ring with which you talk to the dead and the Elder Wand to have the 3 Deathly Hallows. Irina. I love the references, Captain America would be very proud of us, woo Ojo. Tony and Layla would only have a few anime-style beads of sweat coming out. Then, as in the original story, Tony managed to grab the bomb, thus allowing the boys to escape, being chased by the super soldier. And on the Echo side, I would also be able to recover the bomb by going to the address where Frosty and Cisco are. Meanwhile, Sona and Kuroko were running between the roofs. Sona. We have to meet with Zemric since Rina disappeared and we don't know where she is. Kuroko. Then let's go quickly. But both would be attacked seeing that they were Serafel and Kaneko who were flying with their motorcycles. Serafel Kaneko. Hey girls, do you want to fight? Well, that's what you'll get, come get us. So the two began to escape, being followed by Sona and Kuroko, who were launching several magical attacks at them. But as in the original story, there would be a problem because Frosty and Cisco were stuck in traffic, so they would have to execute the plan there. This way the kids would be able to attract the super soldiers, leading them towards Cisco's truck, thus setting off the EMP. But Sona and Kuroko were about to kill Serafel and Kaneko. Sona Kuroko. See you never die. But both would stop and thus Serafel and Kaneko would see that Issei with his balance breaker was holding them by the heads. Issei. Do it already, Drag. Thus Drag would be able to enter the minds of Sona and Kuroko. Minds of Sona and Kuroko. Drag was there walking, seeing that the entire mental space of Sona and Kuroko was a technological place. Drag. It seems that this Rina turned them like her. I'm not referring to being cyborgs, I'm referring to having great resistance, strength and intelligence. But in that Drag would be able to see Sona and Kuroko floating, but when he tried to get closer Rina would appear and she was the size of Drag. Rina. I said it, you won't be able to make them remember you since now they are like me and you Red Emperor Dragon will never be able to win. Drag. You don't know who you messed with, you damn machine. Thus Drag would release a huge explosion destroying Rina and freeing Sona and Kuroko. Drag. If you're listening to me, you have to remember who you are and who we are. So Sona and Kuroko would begin to remember who they were. Sona. I am Sona Citri, the heiress of the Citri clan. Kuroko. Yo soy Kuroko Tauju, hermana de Shirin Tauju mi hermanita minor. Sona. And I am also the sister of Serafel Citri Leviathan the Mao Leviathan. And in that, Sona and Kuroka would remember everyone else, even Kuroka would remember that brown-haired boy who stole her heart and helped her get back together with her sister. And Sona would also remember the feelings she had towards the brown-haired boy, I mean Issei, and she would also remember her best friend Rias, and she would also remember her clan, her friends, and also her best friend, who helped her on occasion, her pawn Pisagi Gensuru. So little by little Sona and Kuroka would recover their memories until finally Sona and Kuroka had recovered their memories and had also returned. Sona. Now I remember everything. Kuroka. Me too Naya, we're back. Greg. It worked, I did it, good job brats, you managed to get your memories back. Sona Kuroka. Thank you Drake-sama. Back to reality. Sona and Kuroka would fall unconscious. Issei. What if it worked Drake? Drake. It officially worked, mate. At that point, the super soldiers would receive their new programming, thus beginning to dance the hamster dance. Issei. Ha 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 what a good programming you put on them Frosty. But by preventing the super soldiers from grabbing the bombs, one would be activated by accident, so Tony, thanks to Frosty's help, would find a building where he would leave the bomb and it would explode. Meanwhile, Sona and Kuroka would begin to wake up. Hineko. Kuroka-ni-san, wake up please Kuroka-ni-san, I don't want to lose you ever, come back with us and with Ai-senpai. Seraphil. Sutan please wake up please don't abandon me, I need you by my side. And that little by little Sona and Kuroka would open their eyes seeing each one of their sisters. Kuroka. SS Shirin Naya. Is that you? Is it really you? I'm not dreaming. Sona. Uowani-sama. Is that really you? Am I not in some kind of dream? Hineko Lorando. Kuroka and Nisan. Seraphil crying. Sutan. So both hugging their respective sister while you would reciprocate the hug while they cried and Issei would also join the hug. Kuroka crying. Ice Naya. So Kuroka would hug Issei tightly, giving him a passionate kiss, and Issei would reciprocate. But then Battle Force 5 would arrive along with the girls who would go to hug Sona and Kuroka because they had returned. Issei. Did they destroy all the Sarks? Vert. We destroyed them all with the Shockblade and the Smash Claw. Rias. And I also destroyed Zug forever, only his remains remained. Xenovia Arena. And Zemric. Vesuvius. We couldn't find it anywhere. Sherman. We didn't see him either, he didn't even show up to attack us while we were evacuating everyone from Los Angeles. Spinner. Or when we used the Smash Claw to destroy the Sarks. Sona. Wait a minute Rina, she must be still there. Agura. We looked for her too, but we didn't find her. That's when Tony and Toretto would arrive. Issei. Tony any sign of a fight? Tony. Don't worry about that, it's already dead and there's no way to reactivate it. But then everyone heard several explosions and saw how buildings began to fall. Zoom. Hey, aren't we supposed to wipe out all the red and blue Sarks in Zug too? Stanford. We literally did it but at least that. Everyone is surprised. Zemric is doing this. And that Issei would communicate with Sage. Sage. Issei, what's wrong? Is everything okay? Issei. First of all, how are the babies? Sage. They're safe, don't worry. Issei. Can you give me Zemric's location? He's the last one left. Greg. And it's our chance to beat him. Sage. I'm looking for it, I'll give you the coordinates when I find it. Tony. Where are you, miss, can you see Zemric? Lady, where? I can't see it. Barry. Wait, I think we just saw it. Julius. It's going full speed in one direction, but we don't know where. Sage. I have the coordinates of where Zemric will go, I'll send them to you now Issei. This is how Issei would get the coordinates. Issei. Okay, keep the people safe, I'll go get Zemric. Vert. Issei is dangerous, remember that he can resist your attacks. Issei. It's our chance to destroy him, he's the only one left, his entire Sark Empire was here and they were all destroyed, just like Zug, so it's up to me. Xenovia Arena. But Ice-kun, let us help you. Issei. I understand that you worry about me and that you want to help me, but I'm not going to put you in danger, so I'll be the one to face Zemric. So Issei would hug the girls tightly. Issei. I'll do my best to survive and I'll come back to you. So the girls would give a tender and loving kiss to their beloved brown-haired boy, wishing him luck. So Issei would get into his car and head off towards Los Angeles, ready to stop Zemric. Issei. This is my chance to find out about that Sekiryuutei that existed in this world. Greg. You have a point, mate, since last time Tez couldn't find something in Zemric's log, so this is our chance to find out. So Issei would see Zemric in his Zelix car. Zemric. We meet again organically. Issei. This time I will be the one to destroy you Zemric. Thus the race between the two of them would begin until finally both launched into the attack with their cars, in the style of Toretto vs Shaw, the cars would collide, and then both would get out. Zemric, do you really think you can destroy me? I'm stronger than you. He would say it while he and Issei walked in circles. Issei. I am capable of destroying you Zemric, I am capable of many things, and now I want you to give me answers from the Sekiryuutei that existed in this world. Zemric. So what you're looking for are answers on that topic, huh? Well, you'll have to force those answers out of me. Issei. With pleasure. So Issei would activate his balance breaker. And he would also summon the sword Ascalon, while Zemric would summon his Sark energy whips, and then both would launch into the attack, starting a battle in the same style as the battle between Toretto vs Shaw. Author's note. Watch the video from 116 to 302 end of note. The battle between the two was causing all the angels to shake, as they were both evenly matched, as it seemed that Zemric had managed to overcome Issei's powers. Issei surprised. How the hell can you surpass my powers? You were supposed to be easy to defeat before. I would say it as the clash between the Sark energy whips and the Ascalon sword continued. Zemric. Well, what do you think, Crimson Sekiryuutei? I am a more improved version. So Zemric would make Issei back down, causing him to crash into his car. Issei would get in and then activate all the weapons in his car, starting to shoot, managing to damage Zemric a little, but he remained standing and then destroyed every weapon that Issei's car had. Then both continued to fight, but when Issei was going to give the final blow, Zemric managed to destroy Issei's balance breaker, pleasantly surprising him. Issei surprised. It's not possible that you're stronger than before. But Zemric would begin to hit Issei without any compassion, and he would not be able to defend himself because Zemric would not let him move and only Issei's screams of pain would be heard. Worrying everyone who was from afar because they could hear Issei's screams. Sona. We have to help Issei. Hiroka. But what can we do? Zemric is now beyond our powers. Rias. I think I got it. Hineko. And what did Rias senpai come up with? Serafel. And speak quickly because Ice-chan needs our help. Rias. He really doesn't need our help, he just needs the help of two of us. Vesuvius. And who exactly? Rias. Xenovia and Arena. Both girls were surprised by that. Xenovia Arena. Us. But why exactly? Rias. Because remember that you are the Crimson Warriors and now you together with Ice-kun are the only ones who can destroy Zemric. Vert. Rias is right about something, you are the last hope along with Issei. Rias. So as your president I give you permission to go help our dear Ice-kun. Xenovia and Arena would smile and then stand next to Rias while she was smiling. Rias. Can I count on you, friends? Xenovia Arena. Count on us. So Xenovia and Arena would fly off to the City of Angels ready to help their beloved brown-haired girl. Back with Issei. This one was grabbed by the neck by Zemric. Zemric. Consider this as what you were looking for, you are the worst organic I could have met, if you hadn't appeared I would have been able to destroy Battle Force 5, so now I will kill you like I did it to your sister. That had surprised Issei and Dreg. Zemric. You wanted to know about the Sekiryuutei of this world. Well here is your answer, your older sister Isabel Hyoto was the Sekiryuutei who ended up in this world, and when I found her I faced her and she couldn't beat me, and that's how I killed her. Also I discovered that you didn't know her because at that time you were just a child who easily forgets things, so that's why you don't remember your sister ha. Issei was surprised because he only knew his sister from the things his parents told him. But Dreg would get a memory. Flashback. A red-colored Zemric can be seen grabbing the neck of an 18-year-old brown-haired girl who was wearing red armor, and this was none other than Isabel Hyoto, Issei's older sister and bearer of the Red Emperor Dragon. But she was injured, and part of her armor was already destroyed because she had faced Zemric but lost because Zemric managed to overcome her power. Red Zemric. You see it organically, I don't care at all that you will face me, and now you will see what the consequences are of facing the great Zemric, leader of the Sark army of my master Krytus. Isabel's thoughts. Dreg. Friend, we have to go, this machine is superior to us in every aspect. Isabel. No, Dreg, you're the one who has to go. Dreg surprised. What are you talking about? Isabel. I have no escape, but you can return to our world and find another worthy bear, and thus you can save yourself, but when you leave this world you will forget me because in case of emergencies, I asked Afisama and Great Red to put a spell on you, and when I die you will forget me. Dreg surprised. No, I refuse to lose you, I'm never going to abandon you, I won't. Sad Isabel. You have to do it, there's no other way because if not, we will die together and I don't want you to die because of me. I'm sorry if I couldn't be a worthy bearer of your power, but I'm sure someone else will be able to use your power better than me, my friend. At that a red glow would appear on Dreg as he became human. To then run and hug Isabel, surprising her. Drake crying. Don't talk nonsense, you were a great bearer worthy of my powers, you were the only person who didn't see me as an object, and I don't want you to leave me please I love you Isabel you are the best person I could have ever met and the one who awakened this feeling in me, so please don't leave me. Isabel had blushed at what Drake said, but she would reciprocate Drake's hug. Isabel blushed and said. I love you too Drake, the truth is that I thought that ours could not be possible, but I also thought that if it were possible, I would find a way to free you from the boosted gear, so that you and I could be together and get married and be happy, and be able to form a family of half-human dragons, but I guess that will no longer be possible, but even though you forget me, I will always be by your side like a guardian angel. Isabel would say everything while crying like Drake, and then Isabel would grab Drake's face in his human form, to give him a tender and loving kiss, which would be the first and only kiss. Drake, while crying, would only reciprocate the kiss while crying, but little by little it would disappear, realizing it too late. Isabel, smiling. Goodbye Drake my beautiful crimson dragon. Drake crying. Issei. Aussie Drake would finally disappear. Out of your thoughts. The green sphere would emerge from Isabel's body and then be absorbed by a portal that would close. Red Zemric. Last words, organic. Isabel. Sooner or later my little brother Issei Hyodo will be the one to defeat you Zemric, but he won't do it alone, and you'll see. Thus, Red Zemric would destroy Isabel by disintegrating her body until nothing remained of her, but after Zemric betrayed Krytus, he would lose his memories. High School DxD World. The portal would open outside the Hyodo house, and Drake would come out until he finally found a carrier being the little Issei. But as Isabel said in her final moments, Drake no longer remembered her. And that's how Drake forgot that mortal who was his companion and who stole his heart, but because of Zemric he lost her forever. End of the flashback. From the boosted gear you could only hear Drake's sobs and how he cried with great pain, and he was not the only one because Issei also cried because his sister was killed because of Zemric. Zemric. Now that you know, I think your sister was wrong when she said that you would finish me off, so now DEE. But before destroying Issei, Zemric would be hit by Xenovia and Arena, who arrived in time saving their beloved chestnut from Zemric. Xenovia. Ice-kun are you okay? Issei. Yes, I'm fine, girls, don't worry. Arena. And were you able to find out anything about the Sekiryuutei that existed in this world? Sad Issei. She was a woman and she was also my older sister Isabel Hyodo former Drake carrier. This surprised the girls because they didn't know that their beloved brown-haired boy had a sister. But then they would get ready to face Zemric along with Issei because they were willing to stop him since all that was left was to destroy him. What will happen next? Will Issei, Xenovia and Arena win this final battle? Or will Zemric take the victory? Find out in the next and final chapter. Chapter 15 and finale. Decisive battle against Zemric, a great happy ending. Previously our protagonists managed to stop the super soldiers even Rina and also managed to make Sona and Kuroka recover their memories, thus managing to remember everyone, but after destroying all the red and blue Sarks and also Zug only Zemric remained and so Issei would face him, but Zemric would beat him and he would tell him that the Sekiryuutei who existed in that world was none other than his older sister Isabel Hyodo, and also Drake remembered how he forgot Isabel and how he lost a mortal who stole his heart, but before Zemric killed Issei he would be saved by Xenovia and Arena, so Issei got up with difficulty, saying that the Sekiryuutei who existed in that world was a woman, and that she was also his older sister Isabel Hyodo, and then he would get up and prepare to fight against Zemric together with Xenovia and Arena. What will happen now? Will Issei and Xenovia and Arena defeat Zemric? Find out. Click on the last intro of this story. Last opening of this story. Chizetsu Dynamic, the Dragon Ball Super opening cover in Latin American Spanish. Singer. David Delgado, Lateral Square. Issei, Xenovia and Arena were in front of Zemric since only he remained, since all his Sarks, including Zug, were destroyed and only he remained. Xenovia. So Ice-kun, you say that the Sekiryuutei that was in this world was a girl. Arena. And what about your sister Isabel? Issei Trist. CY Zemric La Amado. This would surprise Xenovia and Arena. Xenovia surprised. So Zemric killed your sister. Arena. It can't be possible. Angry Zemric. Damned organics, this time you won't be saved and don't expect any compassion from me since I'm going to kill you, I should have let you die when Krytus woke up. Issei just felt sad because he could never meet his sister, he only remembered the things his parents told him, but that's it. Greg. Partner, I know how you feel. I feel the same way as you, since I didn't remember my carrier and she died at the hands of this unhappy piece of junk. He took away from me the only person I loved with all my heart. So, look up and together we will avenge Isabel. Xenovia. Don't worry Ice-kun, we will also help you avenge your sister. Arena. We will make Zemric regret what he did and we will make him pay dearly by destroying every part of him. Issei would just smile upon hearing that. Issei. Thank you very much girls for being by my side. So Xenovia and Irina would smile. Ara Despues Issei Myra Zemric. Issei. Get ready Zemric because I'm going to destroy you and I'm going to avenge my sister, so get ready. So Issei would activate his balance breaker. He then summon the sword Ascalon putting himself in combat pose together with Xenovia and Irina. Greg. Get ready you bastard because we will make you suffer and I will make you pay dearly for killing the person I loved. Zemric. Go ahead Crimson Organics after all will DE. So the four launched into the attack, colliding their attacks creating a huge shock wave. Zemric would begin to attack our protagonists with his energy whips, but they easily dodged them and began to return the attacks while they went through the buildings of Los Angeles that were destroyed because of the first bomb that Rina had exploded. Meanwhile on the outskirts of the city. All the people were taking refuge there while everyone watched as Los Angeles was being destroyed because of the battle that was taking place. Palindrome. I'm worried about Issei and Xenovia and Irina, that guy is too strong and can withstand attacks like theirs. Lady, where? You have a point there. Sad Kuroka. This is my fault for being controlled and apart from losing my memories, I put many in danger with those bombs. Sona sad. You are not the only one who feels this way, as I feel the same. Rias. What happened was not your fault, originally it was Rina who planned everything together with Zemric except for the massive Sark attack that ended up affecting the city. Vesuvius. And we also have to hope that Icecon together with Xenovia and Irina will defeat Zemric. Vert. I hope so since Zemric is stronger even more than them or us. Des. I did a scan on Zemric when Gary and Julia saw him in the destroyed streets and the images that Sage sent me and I discovered that his body is reinforced with a metal so resistant that it is able to withstand attacks too strong, like the attacks of Issei and the girls and even our attacks. Sherman. Tez is right, so it will be difficult to destroy Zemric and since he is someone intelligent, he could transfer his mind to the electrical grid. Hineko. Kuroka Nissan, do you happen to know if Zemric had an emergency plan? Kuroka. Actually now that we remember we asked him if he considered the idea of transferring his mind to the electrical grid. Vesuvius. Just like Ultron in the movie Avengers. Age of Ultron. Sona. Exactly, but he said it was a stupid strategy because he didn't need to escape since he's strong and nothing can destroy him. Seraphil. It may be a robot but it's too stupid. But in that. The sound of an explosion would attract everyone's attention. Back with Issei and Xenovia and Irina. They would manage to bring down Zemric but with difficulty because they were tired and wounded and then Issei would see Zemric. Issei. See a cabo Zemric indeed. So Issei would lose his balance breaker. Xenovia. You have no escape, you wretch, and now you will die as you should have died at the hands of Krytus or Cromulax. Irina. And you can't defeat them even if your body resists our attacks. Greg. It's the end Zemric, you decide, either you give up or you fight. But Zemric would get up and then start laughing. Zemric. Ha 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 give up. Ha 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 never, I am the great Zemric, the supreme ruler of the Sark Empire and I will not lose to beings like you. At that point, Zemric would begin to fly and then release several rays and lightning would also fall on him because his body had one of Cleve Kelso's weather machines. Zemric. All existing Sarks and U2 Zug, all their remains and their vehicles come to me. Thus all the remains of the red and blue Sark's vehicles and also their destroyed bodies would begin to accumulate around Zemric and then a great explosion would force Issei, Xenovia and Irina to retreat. Afterwards they would wake up but they would not see Zemric. Issei. Where the hell is he? Xenovia. And what was she doing? Irina. I have no idea but we have to be careful. Greg surprised. Partner behind you. So the three of them would turn around, surprised to see that Zemric was now a Issei Xenovia Irina, surprised. A giant robot. That's right, Zemric had created a giant robot with all the pieces of the Sarks and their vehicles. Zemric. Behold my true organic power, this time you will not win, and now I will finish you off. Issei. Damn, and now how are we supposed to deal with it? If I enter the Juggernaut drive, I'll possibly lose control. And I made a promise and I won't break it. Xenovia. I can't think of anything either. Irina. We have to do something otherwise Zemric will kill us. But then Issei, Xenovia and Irina's cars would begin to shine along with Issei's boosted gear. Issei. Hey Drake, what are you doing? Drake. I'm not doing anything, mate, I literally don't know what's going on. At that, Xenovia and Irina's boosted gear and also their Excalibur swords would begin to shine and then the three would begin to float. While everyone in the distance looked at this in surprise. Tony surprised. Hey, what's going on over there? Frosty. It's like Issei, Xenovia, and Arena's cars are trying to do something, and that's why they're starting to float. But then everyone saw a huge flash of light that blinded everyone, and then everyone looked surprised as another giant robot appeared out of nowhere, but it was blue in color. Xenovia surprised. But how amazing, my vehicle together with the blue boosted gear and the Durandal sword fused and created this giant robot. But then another giant robot would appear next to Xenovia's, and it was golden. Arena, surprised. And you are not the only one, Xenovia, because apparently my car together with the golden boosted gear and also my Excalibur sword merged and created this giant robot. But then the last giant robot had appeared and it had all the appearance of a real dragon, and this robot was the combination of Issei's car, the Ascalon sword and the boosted gear and all of its balance breaker transformations. Issei sorprendido. Super epicuu. Everyone looked at this in surprise and then they all started shouting, encouraging Issei and the girls to fight to defeat Zemric. Angry Zemric. Damn you wretches, now I'm going to finish you off. Issei. We'll see about that. Xenovia Arena. Why, we will win. So the three launched an attack against Zemric, the great combat machines clashing fists and then retreating. So Issei, Xenovia and Arena would begin to fire several dragon shoots, and Zemric would fire several rays and missiles of Sark energy, thus managing to hurt Issei, Xenovia and Arena's robos, but they did not give up. Zemric angry. Give up, you will never be able to beat me, I am stronger than you, I am smarter, I am the most superior being. Thus Zemric would begin to fly, firing several missiles and Sark energy beams, managing to damage Issei's robot, while Xenovia and Arena remained standing, summoning their Excalibur swords that had been adapted to the robots to be that size. Xenovia Arena. This isn't over, Zemric. So Zemric would activate his energy swords and begin to fight against Xenovia and Arena. Dreg. Get up, buddy. You can still fight. Issei. I don't think so, Dreg, the robot is very damaged, and also. Dreg. Besides what? Issei. I don't know if I can do it, I don't know if I can avenge my sister. But in that. Isabel. You are not alone, little brother. Issei would see in front of him that there was a brown-haired girl with the same eye color as him, and this girl was none other than Isabel Hyodo, Issei's older sister. Issei surprised. Are you sister? Isabel. Yes, it's me, and mom and dad weren't lying, you were going to look like me, hahaha. Sad Dreg. Isabel, forgive me for not remembering you, sorry if I forgot you, I was a terrible companion for you, and I still am for not being able to remember you, but even though it was because of that spell that Office and Great Red put on me, I feel guilty because I was never able to remember you again. Isabel. Haha, don't worry, Dreg, at least you were able to find a worthy partner worthy of your power like me, and you were also the best thing that could have happened to me in life. Dreg crying. Partner. Then that boosted gear Dreg would come out in his human form, surprising Issei. Isabel. I told you, didn't I? It doesn't matter if you don't remember me. I'll always be watching over you like a guardian angel. I was always with you and my brother despite everything. And like I said, you were the best thing that could have happened to me in life because you were the one I gave my heart to. So Isabel would give Dreg a tender and loving kiss, and he would feel the happiness he had lost again, reciprocating the kiss and then returning inside the boosted gear. Then Isabel approached to say. Isabel. Brother, you are not alone. I am with you and I always will be. Look at everything you faced, I know you can win this battle. I have faith in that, so look up and fight. At that Issei would get up with difficulty. Issei. Thank you, sister. But then Rias, Serafel, Rossweisse, and Kaneko's motorcycles would go towards Issei's robot, fusing with it. Dreg. As they say, colleagues, unite. Issei Isabel. Why I'll adequate. So everyone would see a great flash of light and then see Issei's giant robot in its final state. All. Let's go, Issei and Xenovia and Arena, you can do it. Rias, Serafel, Rossweisse, Kaneko, Kuroka, Sona. Haganlo, Issei and Xenovia and Arena go with everything. Issei. Zemric, this isn't over until we say so. Zemric super angry. Damn you. So Zemric would continue fighting against the three, but now they were stronger because now they were beginning to have the advantage against Zemric. Zemric angry. I'm not going to die. So Zemric would make them retreat and then start charging a large amount of energy. Issei. We have to end this once and for all. Xenovia Arena. Let's do it. So the three robots would start running while loading 3 dragon shoots. Zemric. Die. Thus Zemric would fire the large energy beam, but it would be destroyed by Issei's dragon blaster, managing to damage part of Zemric's robot. Zemric scared. But what? And that Issei, Xenovia and Arena combined the 3 dragon shoots into one. Issei. It ends here and now, Mega. Xenovia Arena. Dragon shoot. Then the 3 of them scream. Issei Xenovia Arena. Finiil. thus launching the powerful dragon shoot, managing to destroy Zemrik's giant robot. Zemrik. Damn you, this can't see. Thus Zemrik would be completely disintegrated and destroyed forever. Then there would be a big explosion, taking cover from everyone. Everyone would look surprised that the sun had finally risen and that dawn had finally broken. And that Gary and Julius in the helicopter using a news camera would be able to see Issei and Xenovia and Irina in a building together with their cars. Tony surprised. They did it. Bert. Yes, they did. Barry. It's officially Issei and Xenovia and Irina have won. Julius. And they saved us all from those dangerous robots, Gojo. So everyone would start celebrating because everything was over and everyone was safe. Issei. We did it, we really were able to win and destroy Zemrik for good. Xenovia. We won. Irina. Gojo. So both would hug Issei tightly while Isabel's spirit watched them. Isabel. I'm very proud of you, little brother. But before disappearing, Drake would see her for the last time with great sadness. Sad Drake. Isabel, I would like to revive you. Isabel. That can't be done here, the Holy Grail doesn't exist to revive me, but don't forget that I will always be with you and my brother no matter what happens, and I still love you, my beautiful crimson dragon, haha. Then Isabel would disappear. Bragg's thoughts. Bragg. Goodbye, my love. Out of your thoughts. Xenovia. We'd better get back to the others. Issei. Good idea. So the three would go with everyone like that, being received by applause, and then the girls would hug their brown-haired boy tightly, and even Kuroka and Sona would join in the hug, and Sona would passionately kiss Issei, surprising him. Issei surprised. Wait, what was that for? Sona. Well, my sister once told me that when you feel a lot of butterflies in your stomach with the person you love so much, tell them what you feel, and I feel the same way about you, even though you wanted to forget about that feeling. Issei. So if you feel the same way about me, of course I accept you. So everyone would be happy because Rina was defeated, Sona and Kuroka had recovered their memories thanks to Drake and managed to return, and Zemrik was also defeated forever. Time skipped several months later. Issei narrates. After the final battle against Zemrik, we dedicated ourselves to helping rebuild the entire city of Los Angeles, and it cost a lot, but in the end we achieved it. Also during that time I married the girls, including Sona and Kuroka, so now I am a father and a married man. Also during that time we finally managed to rebuild the entire city of Los Angeles, so the people were at peace again, as were I, the girls, the rest of our team, and also the spies at the wheel. Normal narration. Now you can see everyone gathered in Tony's workshop, which will now be the Toretto workshop. Issei. And by the way, the workshop has sentient technology so you can modify your cars if you want. Bert. It's a thank you gift from Sage and us because they helped us in the battle against the Sarks, demons, and fallen angel robots. Tony surprised. Wow, thank you very much guys. At that moment, Xenovia, Irina, Rias, Serafel, Rossweisse, and Kaneko, who were carrying the babies, would arrive, and Kuroka and Sona would also arrive. Xenovia. Hey, what are you still doing here? Irina. The others are already on their way, we have to catch up with them. Echo. The Quinceaneras are right, we have to go or we'll be late. Xenovia, Irina, Rias, Serafel, Rossweisse, Kaneko. Haha, very funny Echo. Minutes later. The boys were already gathered on the spy plane because it turned out that Mrs. Ware and Palindrome were going to get married. Issei and the girls along with Battle Force 5 had formal outfits. All the spies at the wheel had their spy suits. And the penguins were also there as they were also invited. Sona. Hey, it's about to start. So Mrs. Ware she would be taken to the altar by Gary and Julius. Skipper. Now that's what I call cool bodyguards. Issei. SHHHH pay attention Skipper. So before reaching the oath there would be an emergency. Barry. Turns out the soldier who blew himself up survived and is now on the run. He was supposed to be their wedding present but the surprise is already ruined. Onya dawned. And I thought we would only be here for sentimental reasons, I love you Garacito and Juliacito. So Mrs. Where would she hug Gary and Julius, her most loyal employees? Lady, where? Well, what are you waiting for? Get ready and go. So, where would I open the hatch of the spy plane? Tony. The best wedding ever. Issei. That smells like a reference to me. Rias. But what series? Issei. I really have no idea, I just know that it is probably a reference. Echo. Wait, and your suit. So, where the lady would take off her wedding dress, revealing that she was wearing her spy suit. Lady, where? Who's ready to jump? So, where Mrs. would jump from the plane being followed by the spies at the wheel and Palindrome and also being followed by Issei and the girls, thus beginning to fly. All the penguins use their jetpacks to fly. Issei. Hey, Bert and the others. On that. Des. Here it comes. So everyone would see that the Mobi was flying. Issei surprised. Wow. Des. And you haven't seen the most interesting part. So everyone would see how Vert and Zoom and Stanford and the Cortez brothers and Agura using their cars were flying. Vert. New modality for cars. At that point the babies would begin to fly with their little wings. Xenovia Arena Rias Serafal Rasuius Kaneko, crying. Our little ones are already starting to fly. Issei crying comically. My girls, you fill me with pride. So the babies would hug Issei tightly. Hiroka. You really are a good father Ice Naya. Sona. And you'll surely be a great father to our babies. Issei. Of course I will be. Tony. Hey, does that mean we're spies again? Layla. Just enjoy the moment Toretto. So everyone starts to go around in the clouds. Echo. A race, whoever loses and gets to the soldier first gets the tacos. Cisco. Let's do it better, whoever wins gets the burritos. Everyone. Let's go. Skipper. Kowalski, what is our trajectory, that is everyone's. Kowalski. 95% sure this will be over soon and will end in our victory. Skipper. And the other 5%. Kowalski. Irrelevant, sir. So everyone would continue flying following the race. Dreg. Dude, this was the best adventure we could have ever had. Issei. You're right Dreg, we met new friends, we fought primitive animals and advanced machines, we fought Krytus, we met a group of incredible spies, we defeated Krytus and his team, we also defeated Cromulax and the Carmordials, and now we're all happy. Dragon. Yes yes yes. So everyone would continue flying towards the finish line of the race. And in Colorado this story is over. Ian. Live the final ending of this story. Final ending of this story. We were angels in Dragon Ball Z's ending too. Latin American Spanish cover. Singer. David Delgado, Lateral Square. You can see everyone gathered and Issei was holding a book and it was nothing more and nothing less than the Holy Grail. Rias. I didn't expect the Holy Grail to end up in this world. Serafal. Well, thanks to Echo we were able to find him. Issei. Maybe we can revive my sister and maybe free you from the boosted gear Dreg. Dreg. Are you sure, mate? Issei. Hey, I promised you, I said I would do the impossible to make you happy, and I will still keep your powers so don't worry, and also when necessary, I will use the boosted gear again, so let's do it. So Issei would begin to recite strange verses, and then everyone would cover themselves because a great brightness blinded everyone, and after the brightness dissipated, everyone would see Dreg in his free human form. Dreg. Made it worked, I'm free. Issei. Ha 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 I did it. So they would both hug each other tightly, but look at everyone in surprise. Xenovia Arena Rias Serafal Rasuius Kaneko Kuroka Sona, surprised. Honey, Lord Dreg behind you. So both would turn to see what all worked because apart from freeing Dreg, Isabel Hyodo had also come back to life. Isabel. Hello everyone, I'm Isabel Hyodo, Issei's older sister, oh, and hello brother and Dreg. So Issei would hug his sister tightly and then everyone would introduce themselves and then Isabel would approach Dreg. Isabel. Now you're free, that's good, don't you think? But Dreg would grab her and then give Isabel a tender and loving kiss, which with tears in her eyes would reciprocate, because now she could be happy with the dragon who stole her heart. Happy Dreg. I love you Isabel Hyodo. Happy Isabel. I love you too Dreg my beautiful crimson dragon. So they would both kiss passionately again. So everyone would scream with excitement. Beautiful and happy ending. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day bye.